This meeting of the Essex County Board of County Commissioners is hereby called to order. This meeting is being live streamed in addition to taking place in person. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cooper. Here. Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Graham.
Here.
Commissioner Luciano, absent. Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Mercado.
Here.
Commissioner Pomares.
Here.
Commissioner Siebel, absent. Commissioner President Richardson.
Here. Please stand for the salute to the flag and a moment of silence. After that, I'm going to ask Commissioner Vice President Pomares to lead us in the salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. I have before me certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Madam Clerk, are there any transcripts to be approved?
Mr. President, we have none.
Madam Clerk, are there any topics of discussion?
Mr. President, there are none.
Okay, in that case, let's move to public comment session. Tonight's meeting is a combined conference/board meeting, and we will vote on every item on the agenda. So if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on agenda items only, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. There will be time later in the evening for public comment on any other items. So I ask you to please limit your comments to at this time to agenda items only. All right, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that there are no members wishing to speak at this time. Madam Clerk, let's move on to ordinances on introduction and first reading. Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for introduction and first reading?
Yes, Mr. President, we have 3.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to ordinance number 1, which will be read into the record at a later time. Ordinance number 1, Mr. Jackson.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. This is a bond ordinance reappropriating $6 million of proceeds from the Essex County College capital budget from previous years for the construction and contributing that, I should say, to the construction of a new parking deck on the West Essex campus. As you know, we're building a new facility there, and this facility the new deck will support the new campus. And the amount is $6 million of proceeds and obligations to be rededicated for this purpose.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Mr. Parlavecchio, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Mr. McInerney?
Mr. President, these funds were originally allocated for specific projects. Either those projects were completed and these monies were left over, or for some reason those projects may not have even commenced. So at this point in time, these funds can be reauthorized to another specific use via this ordinance.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Recognizing Commissioner Luciano. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion and a second to introduce the ordinance?
I'll move, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by Vice President Pomares, second by Commissioner Cooper. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Siebel, absent. Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to ordinance number 2, which will be read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, sir. This is an ordinance coming from the Essex County Board of Taxation to impose a $5 flat fee to help with the cost of electronic receipt transactions due to all the technological changes. And the ability to establish this fee is through NGSA 40A 5-45 and NGAC 530-09, and this is requested from the Board of Taxation.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio, any questions?
I do have a question. Mr. Jackson, this $5 surcharge will be paid by the user of whoever's filing or submitting things online to the Board of
Through you, Mr.
Taxation,
President,
right?
that's correct.
And will that $5 go directly back to the Board of Taxation or some other fund?
Back to the Board.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McInerney?
Yes, it actually goes into a dedicated account specifically to be used by the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion and a second to introduce the ordinance?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Cooper, second by Machado. Roll call, Madam Clerk. I always want to say Pomares.
Commissioner Siebel, absent. Commissioner Vice President Pomares,
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado,
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes,
So moved.
thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to ordinance number 3, which will be read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, this is an ordinance naming the athletic complex at Vailsburg Park as the Essex County Ronald L. Rice Sports Complex in honor of our state senator, Ronald L. Rice. As you know, he was elected to the Senate in 1986, serving 35 years, and he retired at the end of August. He was the chairman of the Legislative Black Caucus for 18 years and held numerous positions in the Senate, and we're honored to be able to recommend to the board that we name this facility after Senator Rice.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions or comments?
Mr. McInerney.
No questions, no comments.
Commissioners, questions or comments? Well, for me, I think it's,
Commissioner Cooper.
oh, Commissioner Cooper, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to acknowledge Senator Rice's extinguished service record here for the state of New Jersey, and pleased to see that we're naming a facility after him while he's still alive. You know, oftentimes, my mother would always tell me growing up, give a person their flowers while they're alive so that they know that we recognize them, and I'm just happy and very pleased to support this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I just want to echo those sentiments, and I think it's well-deserved. You know, he was a champion for the little guy for a long time.
For the record, Siebel.
For the record, Commissioner Seabolt has joined us. So do I have a motion and a second to introduce the ordinance?
I'll move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by Vice President Pomares, second by Commissioner Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any ordinances or resolutions for listing purposes only?
Mr. President, we have none.
Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions on second reading and public hearing tonight?
Mr. President, we have none.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to resolution number 1, which is an advising consent nomination for the appointment of Jerome St. John as county counsel. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. The county executive, in fact, all of us are very honored and happy to present to the board for nomination, consideration, the appointment of Jerome M. St. John to be county counsel. As you well know, he is extremely well qualified and experienced, and he'll be able to speak eloquently about his own qualifications, but it's really, we're lucky and honored to be able to have him assume this position, assuming the board approves his nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Good evening, Mr. St. John. Would you like to make an opening statement?
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the opportunity to...
Could you find a microphone?
Is that working now? It is? Yes. I appreciate the opportunity to be considered to further serve the County of Essex. I've been doing it for many, many years in many different capacities, as you can all tell from the information that I sent to you in terms of my background. And it's really just that simple. I believe in public service, and I'm very, very happy to be able to continue public service and to serve you, to serve the executive, and to serve the citizens of New Jersey. It's nothing other than that. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
No, thank you. Commissioners, Commissioner Sebo.
Thank you very much. Jerome St. John is a good friend of mine. I've known him for over 30 years, and he's really a fantastic individual. And I am delighted, really delighted, that he is going to be the county council. So welcome. I really am happy you're here.
Mr. President, can I just make one personal point?
Sure.
Commissioner Siebold is why I'm sitting here today. I practiced law in New York for many years, and I got a call from a young man by the name of Jody Vincenzo saying, gee, you've been recommended to help me with budget issues and financial matters. I had no idea how he got my name. I never met the man. I had no idea he was a freeholder. It was a call completely out of the blue, right, Pat?
Yes,
And,
I remember.
Right out of the blue, and he sounded like a nice man. I believe in public service. I told him I'd be happy to volunteer my time, which I did, and a certain party kept their mouth shut and for years didn't say how Joe got my name. But it was years later that I found out that Pat Siebold was the one who told Joe, this is the person that you should get in touch with, and that's really the reason that I'm sitting here today. So,
Thank
Pat,
you so much. You didn't
Excellent.
need to say that, but
That's
thank
true.
you. I appreciate it.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Commissioner Luciano.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to put on the record that, I've known Judge St. John since I was a young boy, elementary and older. He's an amazing resume and man. He served as a pristine judge, here in Essex County and just about in every capacity you can think of. More importantly, I want to put on record, I call him a friend, and it's good to have a friend in the county council's office, and I know he's going to do an excellent job. I know he's got some big shoes to fill over some of the folks that came before him, but definitely nothing that he can't bite off and chew. So best of luck to you, Judge, and we're here to support you in your office and whatever you need. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And Mr. President, another
Yes.
personal issue. Len was a hell of a hockey player as a young kid. That's how I know him. Tough as nails and never took stupid penalties, and I really respected that. You didn't want to mess around with him, but you know that he would never take a dumb penalty, stay out on the ice, but you better not cross him. So I'm sure it's carried forward into your career as well.
Thank you, Judge.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Okay, so I also want to thank you for being here tonight so we can have an opportunity to meet you. For those who don't know you, we look forward to our working relationship in your role as Essex County Council. Do I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Sebo, second by Commissioner Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Excuse me if I may, Mr.
Oh,
President.
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
I just
Ms.
wanted to, I think I should put on the record that it's effective October 1st. The appointment
Okay.
is effective October 1st.
All right, so he shouldn't be here tonight, so he has to leave after this?
That is correct.
Okay.
Not getting paid.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Siebel.
Yes, and I understand I was not here for ordinance 1 and 2. Please have me vote yes on both of those also. Thank you.
So noted. Commissioner Vice President Pomares?
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado?
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Cooper, absent. Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. One final comment, if I may. My door is always open My telephone line is always available. I serve the people of Essex County, so do not hesitate. Anything at all that comes up, you're extremely well recommended. Michael I've known forever as well. He's a very, very good lawyer. But anything that that you think may affect the county counsel's office, that you'd like to talk to me about, you'd like to meet with me about, I'm a very hard worker, so do not hesitate to call.
Understood. Thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
congratulations again. Welcome on board.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to resolutions 2 through 17, which are budget insertions. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you said, we have a bunch of these we'll go through. Number 2 is from the New Jersey Department of Transportation. This is for the bridge over the Passaic River in the city of Newark and the town of Harrison. This is funding for preliminary engineering and design of the Bridge Street Bridge, $2,229,779.54, and there's no county match. Do you want me to go through all of these, Mr.
Might as
President,
well,
or one at a time?
and we'll take them all as one.
Okay. Item 3 is revenue from North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority for the 2023 program year in the amount of $132,966. This will run through June 30th, 23, and there is, as I said, $132,966, and there's a county match in the amount of $33,241.50 that we are doing in employee time, office space, supplies, and travel. Item 4 is with the New Jersey Division of Family Development for SNAP through the ARP plan, rescue plan. That's for DFAP in the amount of $857,738. This is for funding for overtime salaries to process SNAP applications, certifications, and recertifications due to the backlog created during the pandemic. No county match for this one. Item 5, Department of Community Affairs, Community Services Block Grant, the amount of $688,059. Of that, $550,500 are going to go to 3 agencies, and $137,559 will go to the county for our administrative fees. And these agencies that we'll hear a little bit later in the agenda provide services for impoverished and low-income residents of Bloomfield, East Orange, Irvington, Montclair, and Belleville. Newark, as you may recall, receives its own funding. Item 6, HUD funding for the Continuum of Care Coordinated Entry Program, Division of Community Action, the amount of $640,000. This program provides for eligible families for homelessness prevention services, case management, rapid rehousing, and permanent supportive housing. This funds 5 staff positions in the program and training and equipment, and no county match. Item 7, Department of Human Services Support Assistance for Individuals Program. This is for our Department of our DEDTE program through September of 2023. This provides additional intensive case care management, outreach, and oversight to clients who possess severe barriers to employment and have received benefits for over 60 months, in the amount of $656,607, no county match. Item 8, New Jersey Governors Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse, for the fiscal year 2023. This is the Municipal Alliance grant in the amount of $343,414. Of that amount, $273,414 goes directly to the 20 municipalities who are participating, and $70,000 for administrative fees to the county. And this is to enable these local programs on drug and alcohol prevention and education. For the towns, there's a 25% cash and a 75% in-kind match for any funding that they receive, and there is no county match. Item 9, again, New Jersey Governors Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. This is a youth leadership grant that's available to those towns that are participating in the Municipal Alliance Program, and also 5 towns, in addition to that, opted out of the program. Cedar Grove, Irvington, Montclair, Orange, and Verona opted out. There is no county match. The amount is $108,201 for this program, and it provides a youth leadership program on the prevention and education of alcohol and drug abuse for youth and caregivers and professionals who work with the youth. Let's see, item 10, New Jersey Department of Health and Senior Services for Special Child Care Health Services Case Management in the amount of $275,000. This program provides comprehensive coordination of services to families with children who have special needs from birth to 21 years, home visits for assessment, and there's an in-kind match. And this is for $275,000, and there's an in-kind match that we meet with fringe benefits and office space in the amount of $120,017. Number 11, Department of Health, New Jersey Department of Health, epidemiology grant for the Right to Know grant for $20,419. Essex County is a lead agency for Right to Know activities in Essex County, and this grant goes to support that, and there is no match. Item 12, New Jersey Division of Traffic Safety, Pedestrian Safety, Office of the Sheriff, $5,040 to help with pedestrian safety enforcement. No county match. Item 13, New Jersey Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services for the Essex County Department of Corrections, and Mr. Ron Charles will here to actually present more fully that program. Mr. Charles?
Good evening, Mr. President and members of the Commission. Ron Charles, Acting Director of Corrections. The one agenda item today we have, as far as the grant insertion, is for what is called the Medication Assistant Treatment Program. It's administered to the New Jersey Department of Health and Mental Health. And what the program is it provides medication assistance to those who have substance abuses. We provide counseling service and behavior addiction therapies as well. The medication, which are Suboxone, Vivitrol, and Methadone, are administered to help the patients go through the program as they provide counseling services and fight their addiction. We also then have wraparound services when they are released. We provide license restoration. We provide housing if needed. We provide job skills. We provide life skills. So it's a whole wraparound program that we've seen has shown great positive things in the Department of Corrections and through the state of New Jersey. Currently, there's 151 participants in the program at the Essex County Correctional Facility. That's all I have.
Mr. Paulovecchio.
I don't have any questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Commissioners. Commissioner Sebo.
I would just like to add, welcome back to Essex County. I'm happy to see you again, and I hope you enjoy your job.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioners, any questions or comments? I have a couple. What's the criteria to be in the program?
One, you have to have a willingness to volunteer for the program. Two, you have to be accepting that you're going to take the medication, and you have to be willingness to participate in the counseling sessions at the facility, and then afterwards, once being released.
This is specifically for the county jail?
Yes.
So this is for incoming inmates? Are these for outgoing inmates, short-timers? These for strictly county folks who are sentenced to the county?
It's for all Essex County inmates in the county jail, whether they're coming in the facility, because in the facility is where we do the treatment, right? We do the counseling in the facility. And then there's the wraparound services, which is what happens after the release.
So what about the ones who are not being released, who go in the state penitentiary?
Okay, so the guys who, and women who are going down to the state prison, they would follow the program in the state, the state DOC also has the program as well, as every county jail in the state of New Jersey has.
Do they still have the returning inmates who come from prison, and you still have that program, and they come to the county jail?
Correct, that's called the reentry program. We do have that as well, still.
And so they're all qualified for that?
Correct.
So how many folks do you actually treat? Do you have a number?
Yeah, we have 151 participants in the program as of this morning.
How long has the program been in effect?
This is the second year.
How many did you treat last year?
I wasn't here last year. At Union County, I can tell you, I was the director there, we had about 42 on the program. I would have to get back to you on the numbers for Essex County.
Okay.
Commissioner.
Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick question. Is this program open to the people that's at Delaney Hall too, or just the folks that's in the county jail side?
Primarily on the county jail side, because Delaney Hall has their own parallel program to this, though we're not using the money from this particular grant for those. Those people are covered on a separate grant which we receive, and their program is parallel to this, but we have a follow-up, which is the wraparound services once they're released, which Delaney Hall does not have.
How long does wraparound services follow inmates? And what exactly is wraparound? Is it housing, employment, medical? What is it exactly?
It's license restoration, which seems to be which is an important thing. Getting a social security card, housing, if we can help them out with the housing, but more so it's the behavioral therapy that happens afterwards, that continuing, because we don't want to just have them released from the jail on the program for 30, 60 days, and then they don't have any support services moving forward. So if we have to spend 3 or 4 months with them, we're doing that as well.
And then you connect them to other
Correct.
programs?
Yes, there is other community partnerships that both the county and the jail have, which we sort of like co-orchestrate the program with.
Thank you, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Okay. Continue, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Troll. This item 14 is a budget insertion into the Office of the Prosecutor in the amount of $123,809.50 through August 31st, 2023. These funds are used to operate a service program that identifies individuals, who are opioid dependent and subject to criminal arrest and arrange for treatment in lieu of incarceration for these individuals. There's no county match for this. Item 15 is funding through the Department of, through the DEP Green Acres Program, through the Essex County Park Foundation for the Amazing Asia exhibit in the amount of $500,000. Item 16 is a similar amount, and but through DEP, but this is coming through the Zoological Society of New Jersey. Item 17 is for the Department of Parks and Recreation and Cultural Affairs. This is for, and this money is coming from the Essex County Schools of Technology for the rehabilitation and synthetic softball field at the Blasey Field in Cedar Grove in the amount of $1.1 million. And I think that concludes our
Yes.
insertions.
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Paulovecchio.
Just a quick point, items 15 and 16 are the funding sources, I believe, Mr. Jackson, for resolutions later in the agenda. 15, I think, goes with number 35, and 16 with 36, having to do with the Amazing Asia exhibit.
That is correct.
Okay.
Mr. McInerney.
On number 17, what is the source again of the money, the $1.1 million?
Through you, Mr. President, the money's coming from the Essex County Schools of Technology. The school will be, our West Essex campus softball team will be using this field as their home field. So they're making a contribution toward the project in this amount of money.
Where are they getting the money? Do they have
Their normal funding source, I believe, that's a good, I'll get back to you on specifically on that, but yeah.
Was that it, Mr. McInerney?
Yeah, I mean, do they have a capital account? I assume?
Yes, yes.
So that,
yes.
yes, okay.
But I'll give you the specific funding source, Mr. McInerney.
Commissioners, any questions or comments, resolutions 2 through 17? Hearing none, do I have a motion to take 2 through 17 as one?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Mercado, second by Vice President Pomares. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to Resolution 18 through 20, which are from the Division of Community Action and will be read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, Mr. McCoy will handle these items.
Good evening, Commissioners. I am Terrence McCoy, the Division Director for the Division of Community Action. We're here before you to amend the contracts that you currently have on record that was passed in February of this year, to amend those grants for item 18, 19, and 20, which are the three subcontracted agencies that received the grant and approved earlier this year. The first contract was with East Orange Community Development Corporation. They are receiving an amendment amount of, they're receiving an additional $113,750. Item number 19, Irvington Neighborhood Improvement Corporation is receiving an additional $175,250. Item number 20 is Montclair Neighborhood Development Corporation. They're receiving an additional $165,000, and this is to continue services for the remainder of the 2022 grant period.
Thank you. Mr. Paulovecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
Yeah, all these additional amounts are funded through the block grant.
Yes, sir. Through you,
So
Mr.
these are
President.
monies that were still there?
Yes, sir. Through you, the Department of Community Affairs, additional fundings that were added on to this year's grant.
I mean, this is kind of use it or lose it, so.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Commissioners, any questions or comments between 18 and 20? Hearing none. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Cooper, second by Commissioner Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Lucia.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to Resolution 21, which is from the Division of Family Assistance and Benefits, and will be read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, the DPAP has a vehicle that has outlived its useful life, and they're replacing it, and for a new one in the amount of $89,975 through a bidding process. The van will be utilized to make deliveries of supplies to various locations, outreach deliveries of materials, equipment for events, and it's going, again, as I said, replacing an existing van and paid through operating funds.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Mr. Paulovecchio.
Yes, thanks, Mr. President. Mr. Jackson, what happens to the old van that's put out of service? Does it get auctioned off?
Mr. Coltre?
Mr. President, through you, Julius Coltre, Purchasing Director. Annually, we go through maybe 3 or 4 auctions for old vehicles. This will probably go into that particular auction in the next year, or depending on the useful life of the vehicle.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Commissioners, questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a mover and a second?
I'll move it. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Vice President Pomares, second by Commissioner Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to Resolution 22, which is from the Division of Senior Services, and will be read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Vieira.
Good evening, Commissioners. Michael Vieira, Director of Special Transportation Services, today representing the Division of Senior Services. Resolution 22 is for the purchase of 9 smaller minivan-type vehicles, which are non-CDL, which will be added to our existing Essex County community transportation system fleet. The most important part of this purchase is that the drivers will not need CDL licenses to operate these vehicles. There is a national shortage of CDL drivers across the country.
Mr. Paulovecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Commissioners. Do I have a motion?
I'll
A
move
move?
it.
I'll second.
Sorry.
Moved by Commissioner Sebo, second by Commissioner Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Great, thank you very much.
Commissioner Sebo, you got to at least let me get the statement out.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I knew what you were going to say, but
Madam Clerk, let's move to Resolutions 23 and 24, which are from the Division of Community Health Services, and will be read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, Ms. Fishman will handle these 2 items.
Good evening, Mr. President and Commissioners. I'm Eileen Fishman, Division Director of Community Health Services. These are 2 sets of contracts for the use to create prevention and education programs in each town of the county except for Newark and Essex Fells. We have had this conversation before, so you're aware of that. And the new part of this is the part for youth leadership. DEMAS had monies available, and so they gave it to Jakarta, which created a youth leadership program. So each town will get additional monies through their municipal alliances to create youth leadership, prevention, and education programs. As you all know, this is substance use disorder. Opioid use disorder is the scourge of the world at this point, probably the biggest public health crisis we really have, and one that is hard to correct. Recovery is very difficult for people, and although we bring many into recovery, relapse is a big part of recovery. And so we have to, it's a continuous battle for us to bring people into recovery, but more so for the people who are in recovery, because we understand now that it's a brain disease, it's not a moral failing. Those are the sets of contracts for these 2 resolutions.
I'm glad you stated that, because I can remember when the Reagans were in the White House, it was just say no, lock them up. Now it's a public health crisis because it's crossed certain lines, and they're all good people, they just need treatment. But I remember the difference, but I'm glad they're doing something.
More importantly, scientifically, it's been proven to be a brain disease, and so that really is a big issue.
I think they've known long before now.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Mr. Paulovecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Commissioners, questions or comments? You'll have a mover and a second.
I'll move it.
second.
Moved by Commissioner Luciano, second by Commissioner Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I heard you. Commissioner Vice President Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to Resolution 25 and 26, which are from the Office of County Council and will be read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Golo is going to handle these two items.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jean Marie Scolo, Assistant County Counsel. These are both professional services agreements. Number 26, the board should be familiar with.
You might want to start with 25.
Yes, of course. 25, Mr. St. John is happy to speak with the board in executive session if that is requested. I can get him back here. If there are any questions about 26, I suppose that can be addressed as well.
Mr. Paulavecchio.
Yeah, I think I can talk briefly, just quick on 25 is a relatively new lawsuit. We did have a short discussion in leadership meeting with Mr. St. John on this. Essentially, it's a minor was injured, and it involved a sheriff's vehicle. So there's an injury, and this is a brand-new lawsuit, and it's being assigned to the firm of Pyros Innisfilli, Harris and Genetempo. On 26, this is an amendment to a contract. This is a lawsuit that's been going on for probably a year and a half or so, maybe 2 years. I think also emanating from the Sheriff's Department, but not an injury. It was, for lack of a better word, a personnel-related issue. But this is staying with the same Chiesa, Shahinian, and Giantomasi law firm, and this will take it through the end of the year. I'm not sure exactly what phase of litigation it's at, but my best guesstimate is if there's increased money going into this, it's probably somewhere heavy into discovery or advanced motion practice. Oh, one thing, just a typographical error. On number 26, on the resolution, I think it has the wrong firm name in there. Just check on that. But that's it.
I can check on that if you'd like.
Thank you.
Mr. McInerney.
As Mr. Paulavecchio said, this is an amendment, so the contract, I don't believe, for 150, I think it's an increase of 50,000 from 100. So now it's not to exceed 150,000. But
I
it's
can
not
check on that as well.
It's not a new 150.
No.
I'll make a note for that.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Jay, you got your hand on the mic. You want to say something? You want to add to this?
Yes, Mr. President, through you, the first contract is for $30,000. The second contract is an additional $50,000 added to the original $100,000. And it went out through an RFQ early in last November, and that's how both of these are being awarded through that system.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a mover and a second?
Motion.
To take 25 and 26. Moved by Commissioner Cooper, second by Vice President Pomares. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to Resolution 27, which is from the Department of Corrections, and will be read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, Department of Corrections is engaging a firm to look at overtime costs and trying to bring those down. The Nakamoto Group in the amount of $38,975.
Mr. Paulavecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Commissioners, questions or comments? Hearing none, I need a I'm sorry. Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this is purely just to look at overtime? We're not looking at like starting salary ranges, anything like that, purely overtime, that's it?
Through you, Mr. President, that's correct.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I need a mover and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Cooper, second by Commissioner Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Sebo.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson absent. Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Gill absent. Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to resolutions 28 through 39 because 40 has been withdrawn by the administration. They're all from the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs and will be read into the record at a later time. And it's none other than Mr. Zates.
Who needs no introduction by me, right? Just comes on up.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Next time, maybe we could play a little music when I step up. Item number 28 is a share contract between the County Executive's Office and Parks. It's a contract award to the 3 lowest bidders on a per-item basis to provide banners and signs throughout the county. These are specifically to promote events, upcoming programs to the county and the park system. Number 29, contract award to Sunny Electric to provide general electric improvements throughout the park system, 24-month contract, not to exceed $821,083. This is for any electrical work throughout the entire park system. We do have a representative from Sunny Electric to explain a little more.
Good evening. I'm Bobby from Sunny Electric. If you want to know a little bit something about the company, we are a family-owned business established in 2000, opened by my father, operated by myself and my brother. We are a union shop in 2015, and yeah, we're located in Kearney, and that's all I have.
So it's just, I'm sorry, Mr. Pavlik,
No, please. I don't have any questions.
Mr. McInerney,
No question.
Commissioners? So your family shop, so it's just the two of you and your father
Yes.
are the only employees?
Oh, no, we have 7 employees total,
How many from Essex County?
2 including myself
Very good.
currently.
Very good. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Hearing none, need a motion.
Motion.
Now, let's just go through. We'll go through the rest. Thank you, sir.
Number 30 is a contract award with McCluskey Mechanical Contractors to provide miscellaneous HVAC services throughout the park system. 24-month contract not to exceed $324,800. This is for any HVAC repairs throughout the entire park system, excluding the zoo, which has a separate HVAC contract. We do have a representative from McCluskey here.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Daniel Thomas Walsh from McCluskey Mechanical. I'm a Service Account Executive, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
So tell us a little bit about the contract and a little bit about the company. Where
Well,
you
our
located, how many employees, how many from Essex County?
Can he talk into the mic?
And speak into the mic, please.
You got it, sir. We have 40 employees. We have none in Essex County, but we do draw from the surrounding areas. We do draw from the surrounding areas and have technicians locally. We have 40 employees up in North Jersey. We're a family-owned business. We're nationwide. We've been in business, I believe, since 1986. Mechanical contractor, plumbing, HVAC, any kind of mechanical needs you need. We have a pleasure to take care of anything that may come above and get you beyond that point.
Did you fill out the aspirational goal form?
That I do not know, sir. I'm actually here for the gentleman who filled out the forms, so he couldn't make it this evening, so.
All right, I'll find out from Matt
Okay.
if you filled that out. And how long have you had this contract?
I believe this will be the start of our 3rd year.
Started the 3rd year and you have no Essex County employees.
No, sir, we do not. But we do draw from the union halls and the surrounding areas.
So you're a union shop.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Number 31 is a contract award with David Fred Development Corp. to purchase and deliver, set up and store two two 22-foot electric trees, not to exceed $62,500. This is to purchase two electronic trees that synthesize with music. They'll be used at the zoo's Holiday Light festivities. Specifically, we will be purchasing these trees, and then the company will be delivering them, setting them up, and then once the program concludes, they will be disassembling them and storing them. Number 32 is a change order with Britain Electric for outdoor athletic lighting, adding an amount not to exceed $48,000. Sure. So the original contract amount was $241,602. This is adding an additional $48,320.40, making the new contract $289,922.40. Specifically, this is going to be used for lighting over in Riverbank, Westside Park field lights, and then Weequahic Park field lighting. Number 33 is a contract award with Great Saves Goaltending to provide on-site hockey goalie training over at the arena, 36-month agreement, revenue into the county at $1,200 per month. So during the 36 months, it'll be a total of $43,200. This is for a hockey training workshop that they offer over at the zoo. This is, I believe, the 6th year we'll be entering into this contract with this organization. Number 34, renewals of a license agreement with Seton Hall University for use of Ivy Hill Park. This contract renews every 5 years. This is the third 5-year option. It goes for a total of 25 years. So after this concludes, we'll still have another term to renew. This is to rent 250 units of field time. The Seton Hall girls softball team uses Ivy Hill as their home field. Number 35, agreement with the Essex County Parks Foundation to fund the Amazing Asian exhibit. And if I could also include number 36, since they're very similar, agreement with the Zoological Society, Green Acres grant to fund the Amazing Asian exhibit. Back at the October 6, 2021 Commissioners meeting, there was a contract award with APS Contracting for the Turtleback Zoo Asian exhibit in an amount not to exceed $3,735,725. Of that, at the time, $713.95 was used from open space. So this $1 million will refund the open space trust fund, the $713.95, and then the balance of $286,905 will go back into capital. Number 37 is the authorization to use the Essex County Recreation Open Space Trust Fund for tree work, amount not to exceed $193,250. This is to fund an existing contract. It's strictly the funding source. It's not a new contract. It's with Dujets and Downs. It was bid number 21-190, and these funds will use specifically to remove approximately 30 dead and declining trees in Vailsburg, as well as grinding stumps, clearing deadwood, all in Vailsburg, and then Weequahic remove vegetation, brush, vines, samplings within the track path, and also wood chipping. Number 38, authorization to use the Recreation Open Space Trust Fund for rubberized playground surfaces at Watsessing Park. Again, this is also an existing contract, and this is just the funding source. The existing contract is bid number 22-070 with Whirl Corporation, and this will be for surface replacement of approximately 20,000 square feet, materials, labor, freight, and so on. Number 39 is authorization to use the Essex County Recreation Open Space Trust Fund to fund the Ivy Hill Park athletic field improvements. This is a partial funding source for item number 43, which when that appears before the board shortly, they will go into detail about what that contract entails. Happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Mr. Polavecchio?
I don't have any questions.
Mr. McInerney?
On Resolution 31, that also is a lowest responsive and responsible bid, correct? It doesn't say it so in the reso here.
Through you, Mr. President, Joshua Rosales, Essex County Parks, that is correct.
And in 35, 36, those monies from Green Acres, can you just explain that again? They're someone from Green Acres. 500 goes from Green Acres to the Essex County Park Foundation, 500 goes from Green Acres to the Zoological side. And what is that money being used for again?
Sure, Joshua Zay, Essex County Parks. Through you, Mr. President. Simply put, it was a timing issue. While we were awarding the contract, Green Acres was in the process of issuing grants. We had applied through the foundation and the Zoological specifically for the Asian exhibit. Once all the paperwork, I's are dotted, T's are crossed, that kind of thing, we're finally now able to bring the actual agreements to the board, and we will reimburse the Open Space Trust Fund about $713, and then the balance of that $1 million would go back into capital.
Is there any reason why Green Acres wouldn't just give that money directly to the county?
Joshua Zay, Essex County Parks. The reason they can't give it directly to the county is there's two pools of money, one specifically for government, and then one specifically for nonprofits. As you can see, I'm using my hands to specify which is which. This specific pool of funding was earmarked only for nonprofits, so therefore we have to go through the nonprofit partners.
Commissioner Sebo.
Thank you. Some of the items that Josh outlined came before the Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Board on September 13th, and we discussed all of them, and we were in favor of them being included on the agenda. Thank you.
Commissioners, Commissioner Pomaris, Vice
Thank you.
President Pomaris.
Josh, on 38, which playground is it at Watts Sassing? Is that the one by the spray park or the one closer to the house?
Through you, Mr. President, it's the one closest to Bloomfield Avenue, the accessible playground.
Yeah, that didn't last very long? Or is that just an average lifespan of the road? That park isn't that old.
We're having some issues with the rubber, obviously, and now is the optimal time to do rubber repairs so that it's ready for the spring season. That's the reason we're in talks with the installer about getting some, I don't know what word I'm looking for here, but we're talking to the contractor about getting reimbursed for some of the repairs, but we wanted to move ahead with this project now so that we get it ready for the spring season.
So in other words, his life expectancy was cut a little bit short and we want to get a little credit out of that. Is that?
Through you, Mr. President, that's ultimately the goal. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Yates, I have a question on item number 29. Was this Sonny's first contract with the county? I'm curious.
Joshua Zay, Essex County Parks. Through you, Mr. President, yes, this is the first time, at least for the first time, the Essex County Parks Department is using Sunny.
Okay. Another question on item number 37 with the tree work. Can you please give me a report about the screening that you guys did for the dead trees and the trees that you removed for Orange Park?
Through you, Mr. President, yeah, we will certainly get back to the administration with that.
All right, thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments? So you said this is the optimum time to replace the rubber.
Yes, that is correct.
I want you to take a good hard look at Weequahic Park and all of the rubberized tracks, at least going around the lake, and some of the stations where people work out, the rubber is, needs to be replaced, so.
Yeah,
I want to see that list.
Yeah, we're very aware that that would be a pretty large-scale project, so that's something we would have to go out to bid for.
But it's the optimum time, so.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I need a mover in a second.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Moved by Commissioner Sebo, second by Commissioner Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Sebo.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomaris.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Graham.
Yes.
Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to resolutions 41 through 50, with the exception of Resolution 45, which has been withdrawn by the administration. They are all from the Department of Public Works and will be read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Antonio, I don't know if he has theme music, but
Good evening, David Antonio, Department of Public Works. Item number 41 will allow for the execution of a cost reimbursement agreement between the County of Essex and the New Jersey Department of Transportation to fund the preliminary engineering of the Bridge Street Bridge over the Passaic River in Newark, in the amount of $2,229,000. This bridge is a recent graduate of the Federal Local Concept Development Study and has not been advanced to preliminary engineering. And with that said, item number 42 is the award of contract to Majeski and Masters to perform the preliminary engineering of the Bridge Street Bridge in Newark. Majeski and Masters was the submitter of the highest scoring proposal of the two received. This will be a 12-month contract. It will not exceed $2,229,779. And we have Mr. Richard Jackson here of Majeski and Masters. I believe he will go into some detail about the design of the new Bridge Street Bridge over the Passaic River and introduce his firm.
Good evening, Mr. President and Commissioners. My name is Rich Jackson. I am the Director of the Delaware Valley region for our firm, Majeski and Masters. We are a bridge design firm. We've been doing this since 1893. We have...
You don't look that old.
Thank you. We've assembled a highly qualified team. We have 7 team members, 7 firms, 3 of which are in Newark, New Jersey. Majeski Masters has a couple staff that do live in Essex County. We are excited to help deliver this project. So a bridge design project, there's 4 phases. It's a concept study, which was already done. This will be preliminary engineering, which we will be doing. The next phase will be final design and then construction. So we do design movable bridges all over the world. We bring this high-level expertise here to Essex County. Interested if anybody has any questions.
Mr. Parlavecchia.
No, I do not. Excuse me, I do not have any questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Commissioners. Guess there's no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep, have a good evening.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works. Item number 44 is a contract award to Athletic Fields of America, who submitted the lowest of the 5 bids received for this project. This will the project itself entails placing a new synthetic turf field at a current grass field location, at Blassie Field in Cedar Grove. This amount of the project will not exceed $2,112,403. Athletic Fields of America will have union participation in this project. It will come from laborers 472 as well as operators 824, and they will have 4
Operators 825, you mean?
I stand corrected then, if you say so, sir, yes. And they will have 4 Essex County employees on this job. Item number 46 is an award of contract to Paulus, Sokolowski, and Sater Engineering, the lowest bidder to perform the architectural services for the new building at Independence Park in Newark. This will be a 12-month contract. It will not exceed $525,000. PS&S's proposal was the highest scoring of the 9 responses to this project's RFP. And Mr. Michael Cohen of PS&S has joined us this evening, and he will describe the project and introduce his firm and perhaps answer any questions.
Thank you. Mr. President, Commissioners, good evening. My name is Michael Cohen. I'm a Senior Vice President with PS&S. We are a 300-plus person architectural and engineering firm. We have 7 offices in the New York, New Jersey area. We've been working in this area, in this particular area, for a large number of years. We're celebrating our 60th year this year. We've been working in Essex County for 50 of those 60 years. We have done work, much work in Newark. We've worked on Riverbank and Riverfront Park. We just finished the playground design in Vailsburg Park, so we're very familiar with the area. Personally, I'm an Essex resident, have been for 40 years, and I'm very excited about this opportunity. It's a wonderful park. It's got a marvelous history. We've met with some folks there and talked. We visited the park a number of times in preparing our proposal, and I think we've got a good handle on the pluses and the minuses of the park and what it needs, and we're looking forward to help achieve its goals. So I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Mr. McInerney?
No questions.
Commissioners? Vice President Pomares?
You have 7 offices, is that correct, sir?
I'm sorry?
How many offices did you say you had?
7 in the region.
How many in Essex County?
Right now, we don't have any. We've had an office in Newark for the last 12 years, but post-COVID, we closed the Newark office, but right now we don't have.
You've been doing work for 50 years in Essex County?
Yes.
Do you plan to open up an office in Essex County again?
We're kind of anxious to get back in Newark. We were happy there, yes.
All right, that's a long time. Thank you.
Commissioner Cooper?
Thank you, Mr. President. What were the other parks that you said you guys?
Riverbank and Riverfront Park on the river in Newark. We worked on both of those. That's probably 10 years ago, 8 years ago.
Eastward.
East.
I know what the park is.
That's
I just didn't catch the name of the park that they designed. Thank you very much.
It wasn't in orange. I didn't know if you could keep up.
I'm a Newark girl, I know.
So you've been working in Essex County for 50 years. You're an Essex County resident
For 40 years.
for 40 years.
So 10 years I didn't work here, but
Okay.
the company has.
So how many employees do you have from Essex County?
From Essex?
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but at least 15 or 20. We have a number of people from Essex
Out of
County.
out of the 300.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works. Item number 47 is an award of contract to CME Associates to undertake the engineering and inspection services required during the replacement of 3 pipe culverts. One of them carries the Cane Brook across Annan Road in West Caldwell, and the other 2 carry Fullerton's Brook as it traverses both Canoe Lane and Condit Court in Roseland. CME's proposal was the highest scoring of the 6 received. This contract will not exceed $140,389, and Mr. Michael McClellan from CME will introduce his company, perhaps describe the scope of work, and answer any questions the board may have.
Good evening, Mr. President and Commissioners. My name is Mike McClellan. I'm a partner in the firm of CME Associates for about 40 years. Can't point to the 150 years with Mr. McCluskey's firm, but we're getting there. We have basically proposed on a project to replace 3 carbon metal culverts throughout the county. Basically, it's a metal culvert that over time has deteriorated, and the plan is to put in aluminum piping so that the deterioration doesn't occur. It's been designed by others, and we're basically going to do the construction phase service for the project. In terms of our number of employees, we have approximately 275 employees. We do not have an office in Essex County yet. We're also thinking of it, obviously. In terms of the number of employees from Essex County, I can count 2. I didn't come prepared to tell you exactly, but I know for sure 2. I won't tell you more than that, but next time I come to your meeting, I will be sure to know. In terms of a diversity program, we have a diversity percentage of about 20 to 30% right now.
So that means you're going to come back. That means that you're confident that you're going to get another contract.
Well, Mr. President, that's what we're in business for, that's sure. I did go to school at NGIT and graduated from Newark College of Engineering with a degree. We hire as many staff from NCE as we can, or actually NGIT now. When I was there, it was still called Newark College of Engineering, but we do retain and recruit there as much as possible. One of my partners is on the board of directors.
Thank you very much. Mr. Paul Vecchia?
No questions.
McInerney?
No question.
Commissioners? Thank you.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works. Item number 48 is award a contract to Iris Communications to provide various graphic art services. Iris Communications proposal was the highest scoring of the 3 proposals received. This will be a 1-year contract, and it will not exceed $85,000. Item number 49 is an award of contract to Reed Systems to furnish and deliver sodium chloride over a 2-year period in an amount not to exceed $50,000. This product is used during ice and snow operations by the Department of Public Works. Item number 50 is authorization for emergency payment to both SurfPro and DIA Construction for repairs performed due to flooding that occurred on the 13th floor of the Wildlands Building in Newark on July 17, 2022. The flooding created damages to courtrooms, and cleaning and restoration services were required. This event was declared an emergency. And at this point, if there's any questions, I would glad to take them.
Mr. Paul Vecchia?
David, just operations question. Did you do number 43? It was, there were 2 turf field contracts, one for Ivy Hill. You did the one for Cedar Grove.
Yes, you're correct. I did not do number 43. I just realized that right now.
We don't want to leave Ivy Hill out.
No, I can't do that. So item number 43 is a contract award to Athletic Fields of America to install synthetic turf athletic fields at Ivy Hill Park in Newark. Athletic Fields of America's bid was the lowest of the 3 received, and the contract will not exceed $3,361,834. This project will have union participation. It will come from laborers 472 and operators 825. And once again, they will have at least 4 Essex County employees working on the job.
So are they not with us?
So unfortunately, Mr. Pirro had a last-minute family emergency. I did speak with him on the phone. That's how come I got some of this information. But it is what it is.
It is what it is?
He wanted to be
Okay,
here.
no,
He couldn't make it.
I like that kind of language. It is what it is.
I apologize.
He should have been here then. He should have sent a representative. It is what it is if we hold this up until he can get here. It is what it is. That's number 43. So we're going to take 43 out of here, and we'll get to him on the next meeting.
Mr. President, if I may?
Sure. It is what it is.
No, I appreciate what your sentiment on that response, and I apologize for, it may have sounded flip, and I understand why you interpreted it that way, and I apologize to the part of the administration.
But you didn't say it.
I know I didn't, but Mr. Antonio's, as you well know,
I know him very well.
He's a good man.
His character has never come into question. I never questioned his character. I just didn't like his statement.
I understand. I don't think.
And then these folks should have been here. It's a $3 million contract.
And they should have been here, and if you may recall, Mr. President, they're always here.
No, I don't even know who they are.
Yeah, they've done a lot of stuff for us. They're always here, and I understand your sentiment, and I would just how can I say, I would implore or just beg, if that's even better, because we really need to get this timing-wise, 30 days really makes a difference on these projects, as you well know. So if I could beg upon you, Mr. President, to give us a pass on this one.
You never have to beg or grovel about something that you had nothing to do with.
I understood, and I appreciate that, but we do need to get, for this Ivy Hill project, and we need to get it going, and I don't want to miss the 30 days. And again,
Understood. I got it.
Okay.
Duly noted, take it. Mr. D'Antonio, we good, man. No worries, bro. Go
If
ahead.
I may, Mr. President, I
Sure.
do want to apologize. Those use of words were not proper, but I would have wanted Mr. Brewer to be here, and unfortunately, he can't make it. And
I mean, I
some of my
understood that. I
frustration is
just
with
didn't
him not being here.
understand it is what it is comment.
I understand that. It was not intended to come out like that. It was
All
my
right.
frustration with Mr. Brewer not being here as well. And I do understand the importance
Duly
of this
noted.
project.
Thank you very much. Paula Vecchio, Mr. McInerney, Commissioners, any questions or comments? About 41 to 50, with the exception of 45.
That is correct, Mr. President.
Do I have a mover in a second?
I'll move, Mr. President.
And we'll leave everything in.
I'll second.
thank you so much, Mr. President.
Moved by Vice President Pomaris, second by Commissioner Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Luciano?
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado?
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomaris?
Yes.
Commissioner Siebel?
Yes.
And Commissioner President Richardson?
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to resolutions 51 through 53, which are from the Division of Training and Employment, and will be read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, thank you so much for your understanding on that other issue. I appreciate it. Ms.
It is what it is.
Touche, I got you. Josette's going to present these two items.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
All right, I'm going to talk about 51, 52, and 53.
Name.
Okay. Sorry,
Just
Josette
please-
Van Dyke. Everybody can hear me?
Hold on one second. I think you're getting ready to get some assistance right now.
Mr. President, while we're doing some technical assistance, we recommend a little bit of grease for that very squeaky hinge over there.
It's a WD-40.
Yeah.
I already advised the Department of Public Works to repair that.
What it is
That's the new one. That's the new one.
I'm sorry. Please start over.
No problem. I'm sorry I don't have on my heels today.
You're okay.
Josette Van Dyke, Division of Training and Employment. I'm representing for the county. We're doing 51, 52, and 53. 51 and 53 are for welfare to work. They're educational, job search, and vocational training. 51 is for the extension, a 2-month extension. All we did was move the funding over into 2 months for the vendors to have additional time to spend out for the county funding, for the state funding that we've received. 53 is for the new state funding that we have received. So we renewed on the RFP based on that. And I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses, so did you want the amounts?
If you have them.
Okay. 51 was just a move over, basically them using the same amount of money, which was, the original contract was for $945,000. The extension for the new one will be $805,000. We had 3 schools drop out of doing a contract with us this time.
Okay.
All right. For 52, that's WIOA funding for out-of-school youth. And that is for them to do, let me double check. I don't want to give you the wrong thing. That was also an extension for them to do over the summer with a 4-week orientation, and also for basic skills for the kids who weren't in our summer youth work program.
Thank you.
I also
Paul-
have some of the vendors here if you want to talk to them.
Since you got them here, get them up. Introduce yourself, tell us what you're going to be doing.
Hi. Good evening, Mr. President and the Commissioners. I'm Mitra Chaudhary. I'm representing Essex County College. As you have heard from Josette, these are extension of contracts that we had. For the out-of-school youth, we did a job search and work readiness program, and also provided basic skills in HSC prep, formerly known as GED. For vocational training, we have been providing allied health programs, such as certified nursing assistants, patient care tech, medical assistant, and we continue to do that. Thank you.
Oh, don't go. Commissioners, any questions?
I'm sorry, thank you.
Essex County College, I think she said. I'm sorry.
Where are you located? I didn't hear.
Essex County College.
Thank you.
So out of the participants,
Sorry?
right, the participants, the persons who you're training, do you also have job placement?
Yes.
And
That's
if you
part
could-
of the proposal that we submit.
And so what is the percentage of people you actually place?
It's actually very good because, as you know, with the pandemic, there's a need for healthcare workers.
Sure.
So we have not had any issues placing people. So some people could not be placed because they had other issues that they had to take care of. But those who finished the program and went ahead and got their certifications, we have about, right now, I would say between 70 to 75% placement.
That's very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cooper, hold on, I'm sorry.
Thank you. What's the average hourly rate that participants make? What's the average hourly rate that the participants make once they get placed in a job?
Right now, with certified, the healthcare careers, I would like to say, anywhere between, they have gone up. The rates have gone up because, they cannot find people to work in those fields. So between $16 to $21 an hour, sometimes $25 an hour to start.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so that's a good career for them. And also, I just want to mention, if they go through our program, and if they enroll at Essex County College, they get credits. So if they're certified nursing assistant, they get 3 credits. And if they're patient care tech and medical assistants, they get 6 credits each towards their general science degrees.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next.
Good evening. I'm Justin Ritter. I'm from Urban Renewal Corp. We have a computer repair technology school located at 224 Sussex Avenue in Newark, New Jersey. What we do is we basically train the people that come in and get them ready for their A+ certification, which is the basic certification for, or baseline certification, so we say, for any sort of computer repair technology, network, engineering type jobs. I don't really know what else to explain. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Sure. Commissioners, any questions? So you have a placement policy as well?
Yes.
And so what's the percentage of people you place? Where do you place them, and what do they make once they're placed?
Placement for us is about 60%, to be honest. Any job starting with computer repair technology, usually you can be, there's baseline because we use computers for everything, so it could be as simple as working a cash register or any sort of warehousing or anything, and it could be up as much as $30 an hour. Working for an IT company, we have local contracts that we use for our telecommunications, IT support that we actually use in-house with our company, and they're willing to take people on that go through our program. And I'm sorry, what was the other question with that too?
So it's how much they make, what your placement is. And let me ask you another question. So you're located in Newark, so how many Essex County residents do you employ?
With the exception of myself and the owner of the company, everyone is Essex County.
Excellent.
And I have, just to add to that, there are 37 employees.
Very good. Commissioner Mercado.
Yes, I just have a question. Is the training held at your location? on
Yes,
Sussex
224
Avenue?
Sussex Avenue, yes.
And so while they're training, they're compensated? Is there a stipend? Or?
There is a mentorship program, which is a stipend program, and that it coincides with the job placement, so they're able to use our labs to look for jobs, resume support, and in the meantime, they basically act as a teacher's aide, so they can stay on with us past the contract, and we do provide them with the stipend. It's $30 a day, Monday through Friday.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions for me?
Any other vendors? That's it?
Question.
Okay.
I have a question.
Mr. Polavecchio.
Yes, I do have a question. On the two extension of contract resolutions, is the dollar amount unchanged on both of those?
On the extension,
Yeah.
no. They're the same money. It was the same money. We
Unchanged,
just gave
right.
them additional time to.
Okay. Spend the
complete.
same
Yes,
dollar amount?
yes.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. McInerney?
No question.
Commissioners? All right, I need a mover in a second.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Cooper, second by VP Pomares. Roll call, Madam Clerk. This is for resolutions 51 through 53.
Commissioner Cooper? Yes. Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Luciano?
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado?
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomares?
Yes.
Commissioner Siebel?
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson?
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, let's move to resolutions 54 through 62. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Craig Lombardi will handle these items.
Good evening, Craig Lombardi, Housing Coordinator, Division of Housing and Community Development. Item number 54, we are requesting that the board authorize the extension of 8 CDBG projects from August 31st, 2022 to March 31st, 2023. We expect all these projects will be completed by the end of the project year. The extensions are basically required to process the vouchers and reimburse the vendors for their work. Item number 55, we are requesting that the board authorize the extension of our CDBG contract we have with the Township of West Orange for work on Mitchell Street. Unfortunately, that project's been delayed because there's been some work being done by PSE&G, and also the county is doing some work at one end of the street. And the township is requesting that we extend that contract until the end of December 2023. Item number 56, we are looking for authorization to extend several emergency shelter grant recipients. I think 3 of the 6 projects are basically fully expended. We just haven't been able to process the voucher before the expiration of the contract, so we just need to extend the contract to process the vouchers. The other 3 projects are providing money for homeless prevention, and to expend those funds has been a little bit difficult to coincide with how the courts are working as far as giving people eviction notices. That's one of the requirements to expend that money.
Could you repeat that?
Okay, for homeless prevention funds through the ESG program, one of the requirements is that you have to prove that someone is at risk of homelessness, and usually that is an eviction notice, at which time the agencies that we fund can then expend the funds and we can reimburse them. Because of everything that's been going on with COVID and then the moratorium ending in December of last year, but the courts are still taking a long time for these eviction notices to be processed. So it's hard for us to get the money out for the homeless prevention. But unfortunately, we know that that's coming, and that money will be expended very shortly because
Thank you.
things are opening up in that regard. Let's see, where am I? Item number 57. The board had previously authorized in program year 2021, $8,000 for a project from the Montclair Shared Housing Association to do some rehab work at their senior residential building. When they went out to bid, the cost came in much higher than expected, and they are requesting that we increase the amount of their award to $24,000, I can't read my own writing, I think $24,788. I'm sorry, $24,288. And we would be able to, if it's approved, we can provide those additional funds because other projects have either been canceled or have returned funds because their costs were less than the award amount. So we have the money that's available, and we're requesting that you authorize the addition of funds for that project. Item number 58, the Township of South Orange was previously approved for a project to install an ADA compliant elevator at their public library. Again, another project, we all understand what's going on lately, inflationary costs and also supply chain issues. But their costs have come in much higher than expected, so they're requesting that we increase their allocation by approximately $102,000. The funds for that project would come from a different project that had previously been approved for South Orange, where they are willing to forego that activity in order that we can then provide these funds for the elevator project. Okay. Item number 59. As you may recall, in May, the board had previously approved funding of $1.225 million for a home project by Pearl Developers for a project in Verona. After we approved that, they incurred significantly higher costs for the cost of construction, but also interest rates increased. And so they now have a budget gap of $3.4 million. They are applying for part of that from the state, and they are requesting that we increase our allocation by $700,000 to help subsidize part of that increase in cost. So that the total amount of the home loan would be $1,925,000.
And if I recall, that is for
It's an affordable housing project.
Right, that's what I was looking for,
So
affordable housing.
Yeah, the one thing to mention here is
And
that
it's 100% affordable?
yes, 100% affordable, I believe it's 95 units. Now, the original presentation, we were only going to have 7 units designated as our home units that we could control. But because of, if we provide additional funds, we would then increase our number of units up to 11. And I don't know, maybe we come back, if you have questions, we do have a representative from the developer here.
Do you have a rendering of what this is going to look like? Anything?
I don't have it on me, but yeah, I mean, that's all part of the application process.
We'd love to see that.
Okay, I can certainly get that to you guys tomorrow, no problem.
Would you have somebody from the company here?
Yes.
So let's get, they're
I'd
here.
like to introduce Deanna
Sure.
Shipman and Kate Coffey.
Just please introduce yourself, your name, and your affiliation for the record.
Hi, I'm Deanna Shipman from Pearl Developers. I'm the development project
You
manager.
got to speak into the mic, please.
I'm Deanna Shipman from Pearl Developers. I'm the development project manager on this project.
Hi, I'm Kate Coffey from Day Pitney, and we're attorneys for the applicant.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the project and the affordability and
Yep. So it's a 95-unit, 100% affordable project located in Verona. It's located, if you're familiar with Verona, it's on Pine, Bloomfield, and Lynn Avenue. The affordability is, it's about 38% of the units will be, 13% will be very low income, so 20% AMI levels. 38% are between that 31% and 50%, and then 50% of the units are at 60% AMI. There's no units higher than 60% AMI in our project. Our project is a family project, so we have 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 1 bedroom units. We also will have a central playground for children. It's conveniently located right across from the parks of the municipal building. There's a bus stop right outside the site, and it's located, again, right on Bloomfield with tons of restaurants and shops, so it's well situated.
So is it gonna look like other developments that are in the area on Bloomfield Avenue? Well, what's it gonna look like? Is it gonna fit into the neighborhoods? What is this project gonna look like?
Mr. Chairman, we don't have a
I
rendering.
need you to please put your name on the record.
This is Kate Coffey again.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, we don't have a rendering with us tonight, and I apologize. However, I will say that the building design, particularly the facade and the architectural style, have been designed very closely with both the municipal council and their planning board, so much so that we actually went through quite a few iterations to make sure that we had an architectural style that the community felt was harmonious with the other architecture in the area.
How fast can you get this board a copy of that rendering?
Send it tomorrow. I don't know that we can get one for you this evening, though.
Okay. No, I'd love to see it.
Certainly.
I have a question, Mr. President.
Mr. Polavecchio.
Yep. A question. Once constructed, will your company continue to manage the project, or will it be sold?
So we are long-term holders
Name
of
for
our,
the record.
sorry, Deanna Shipman from Pearl. We are long-term holders of our properties. We have a third-party property management team that we use for all of our projects in New Jersey. So they will manage the project.
But you'll maintain
we will still be
ownership.
the owner, and we work hand in hand with the property manager throughout the life of the project.
That's good to know. Thank you.
And you're also the GC?
That's correct. We have an in-house GC.
Yeah, in-house GC. So what about local employment and opportunities for folks who live in the community, who live in Essex County?
Yeah, so we are actually, as you know, this project is a little delayed in terms of construction start. We're now anticipating a construction start of March 1st, so it's very early in our bidding process. But I will say that one of the lessons learned from COVID was it's important to hire locally. It makes a big difference in terms of everything that we were experiencing with supply chain issues and workers calling out because of COVID. In order to keep our construction schedules, hiring local is a key aspect, so we keep that in mind for our bidding process.
Okay, just please, Chalo, make sure you get her contact information. Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. I recall when this group was before us in May of this year, we had requested for them to send us the how-to so that we could share your bidding upcoming things with local developers and people who would be looking for employment.
Local contractors. Right?
Local contractors, thank you. I don't recall getting that information via email the way that we had requested in May. The other question is, what's the status of the $2.7 million gap that you refer to that you're waiting to come from HMFA? Do you have that committed already?
So that's part of the reason for our additional ask here tonight. So when we presented in May, we spoke about how we were facing rising construction costs and rising interest rates.
Right.
And we spoke about how we had that $2.4 million funding request into the state. Almost immediately after our presentation with you, due to interest rate increases, we actually had to go back to the state and increase our ask from the $2.4 million to the $3.4 million. $3.4 million is a very large ask from the state, so we're basically trying to seek any kind of alternative to bring in additional fundings so we can lower our reliance on the state for that gap, which is why we came back to the county to see what additional help we can have. In addition, we also went through the kind of large undertaking of resubmitting a tax credit application to the state so that we could get additional tax credits, which would cover that gap in the instance that we don't receive the funding from the state that we need. We follow up with the state regularly in terms of the funding request. We are told that we should hear back any week now in terms of how much money, if any of that funding request that we'll receive. But as of
So the 700,000 that you're seeking from us would reduce to 3.4 million.
So, well, it depends. We don't know out of the 3.4 what the state will give us, if any. So we are trying to find any alternative sources of funding that we can to help close that gap.
I want to make sure that I'm comprehending the summary correct. Your current gap is 3.4 million, of which you're seeking an additional 700,000 from the county, and you've already asked for the difference between those two numbers from the state, but you don't have a firm commitment from the state yet.
We don't have a firm commitment. If we are able to bring in additional money and lower our ask to the state, we will do so. I think that would make our application to the state more competitive. I also think 3.4 is a very large ask from the state, so I don't know how likely it is that we would actually receive that full funding amount.
What's the status of redoing your tax credit application?
So we submitted that a few weeks ago, and we will hear back at the end of December if we've been awarded that.
The end of December?
Yes.
Okay. I remember really being excited about your project because it was a 100% affordable housing project, and given the rising cost of housing in general across the country, and some recent articles talking about the increased cost here in Essex County, I remember being really passionate and interested in supporting your project. But December is a long way off, so if are costs still going up, that even if we gave you the $700,000, would it be realistic knowing that December is still like 2 months away?
Right. So our goal is to really lock in pricing as early as possible. As we've experienced, every kind of delay, just costs, fortunately, are only increasing. So if we are able to secure all the financing, our intent now is to hopefully go to the NJHMFA board at their November board hearing, which is their next hearing, to seek approval to have a December closing so that we could start construction in March. So at that time, we could kind of lock in all pricing. We would lock in our mortgage rate, which would save us from this interest rate risk that we keep encountering.
Okay. Thank you.
So are you seeking 4% or 9% tax credits?
9%.
Very competitive. Yeah. Mr. McInerney?
Yes. So I just want to get something straight. You have a management company, a construction company, I assume a development company?
Yeah, so just to clarify, the property manager is a third party. They're not in-house.
Is it part of Pearl?
No.
Okay. So I thought you said you keep an interest in it, that we do the management after.
Oh, no. So, well, we're long-term holders, so we are the owners. We hire out the third-party property managers to manage the projects.
On the development side, did you have a development fee?
Yes.
Was that fee paid?
No, not yet. And that, as part of this,
That's the last thing.
right, minimum of, or maximum, no, sorry, minimum of 50% needs to be deferred.
What was the development fee on that? And that would go to Pearl Development, correct?
Right, but again, we have to defer 50%.
Please speak into the microphone.
Step by step, if you want, okay? So could you get me the amount of development fee, do you know what it is?
Yes. It's 1.6 million.
Okay, and then you're deferring 50% and hope you can get out of your cash flow?
Exactly.
The rentals?
Yes.
Coming through the management company?
Correct.
Okay. On the construction side, was the payroll paid by the construction company just the cost of labor? Sometimes I see where they set up another entity that handles all the payroll for all the projects that Pearl might do or other construction, companies do. In other words, did you pay the payroll through the construction company or through another leasing company?
You're talking about
The construction payroll.
to the subcontractors?
Right.
Right, that's how it flows through Pearl Contractors, yeah.
Okay. So there really isn't any payroll? There's very little payroll?
Right,
Everything's subbed out.
correct, yes.
All right. And then on the GC fee for the construction company?
Yes.
Are you following NJFMA? I think I got this right.
Yep.
The tier?
Yeah, so they closely monitor kind of all of our fees, both our developer fee and the GC's overhead profit and general requirements. That's closely monitored. At the end of the project, we also have a cost certification process with the third-party auditor, so all of our costs are closely accounted for.
What was the construction fee? What was the GC fee on this job?
So we always do 6% profit on top of whatever the construction contract is, so.
So you know what that number was?
I can give you a total construction, hold on, actually, one second.
Well, was the construction fee paid?
No.
That wasn't paid?
No,
Was
no,
the
none of
GC
this has been paid yet, no.
Nothing's been
paid yet.
So, all right, so I guess sometimes you kind of run the situation, was some of the over budget through inefficiencies, or was some of it through additional cost because of interest or cost overruns, things of that nature? But you're saying that basically is a high interest cost?
Yeah, so in the time that we presented to you and, well, actually put our application to present to you, that was around March of this year till right after we presented to you. Our interest rate had actually lowered our mortgage. Because of the interest rate increase, it lowered our mortgage by 1.6 million. So it was a 1.6 million hit to the company just in interest rate alone in the course of a few months, truthfully.
But you didn't pay the development fee to yourself?
No,
You
nothing
didn't
has been
pay the
paid.
GC?
Nope.
So you're last to get paid?
Yes.
So this is really your hopes of getting paid those fees?
Right.
And Kate Coffey, just to clarify, the project hasn't started construction yet.
Okay.
Right, so that's still to
Well,
come.
I'm not confused. How do you know you're going to be over budget?
Well, Shipman can correct me if I'm mistaken, but I think now that we're getting close to bidding out the project and we're seeing what proposals are looking like for materials and labor, as well as speaking with our lender about interest rates that we're anticipating, we already know that we'll be exceeding the budget that we had originally anticipated.
Now I was really confused. I thought this was well underway. No. I thought you were paying costs. That's why, obviously, that's why you didn't pay the developer for the GC fee, because you haven't incurred any cost. Right. Okay, so that's something that I was having a misconception about. So you're only projecting that you're going to be over budget at this point?
Yes.
Name for the record again.
Oh, sorry, Deanna Shipman from Pearl. Yes, we have a team that's sole job is estimating costs on the construction side. So they closely monitor all of our construction costs. So they are pretty accurate in terms of what our costs are going to be, so we can kind of know going into it. Between that and then locking in our interest rate on the financing side, we have a good idea as to what the costs are going to be for this project.
So if you didn't get this funding, what would that mean for the project?
We continue to find additional funding sources. As I mentioned, that tax credit application that we did, that was kind of our contingency plan. Again, we wouldn't hear back about that until December, so that's really not ideal, but if that's what it takes to get the project to close and to get us to be able to start construction, then that's what it
Usually,
takes.
on the low-income tax credit side, I've seen it done after the fact, as opposed to before the fact. But I have seen, once it's completed, in a number of cases where there has been application for additional funds. But I've just never seen it done prior to.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I think that the Kate Coffey, Dave Fitney, I think the goal is to not get started and then discover that we don't have enough money to finish the job, right? So the goal is to make sure that when we start the project, we are being responsible and we are able to commit to getting it completed in a timely and quality fashion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vice President Pomares.
Thank you. You had mentioned if funding doesn't come through here or you fall short through the state, which you think is a lofty ask anyway, as of right now, what is the other plan? You have mentioned other funding sources, but what specific other funding sources are you looking at? Saying other funding sources does not inspire a whole lot of confidence.
Name for
as
the
you can
record,
imagine.
please.
Deanna Shipman from Pearl. Again, I think as I mentioned, the additional tax credits is really our contingency plan at this stage. So we will see in December if we get that, then that would cover our funding gap. So if,
And if it doesn't?
And if it doesn't, then we have to reach out to additional funding sources. So we've
What,
done.
such as?
We'll take some research to kind of see what other opportunities are out there.
Yeah, Kate Coffey, Dave Pitney. Frankly, it becomes a bit of a challenge for the feasibility of the project, which is why we're before you. You may have seen, the funding that's been allocated to the project thus far is really showing a partnership from a number of different sources, including the municipality, which is giving the land to the project, as well as a financial contribution. The state and the county have all been partners for trying to accomplish this project.
But the state seems to be the biggest partner financially?
The state is the biggest partner financially.
And you feel your ask to them now is a lofty ask?
It's a competitive analysis of the requests that the state receives, and so the concern is that they may consider it that they're able to accomplish units for less.
So us putting an additional money, do you feel that adds confidence, inspires more confidence to your application?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. What's the total project cost to build it?
It's just under.
Name for the record, please.
Oh, sure. Sorry, Deanna Shipman from Pearl. Just under 30 million.
Just under 30 million. Are you guys prepared to adjust, let's say hypothetically, you're saying that you don't think you're going to get the whole 2.7 million in tax credit if we gave you the 700,000, and they give you less than 2 million? Like, what is a reasonable request has been based upon the average that they've awarded, the state program, HMFA?
So it's actually very hard to gauge what they will be willing to award at this stage. They're only going through this round of funding for this specific funding source right now.
But I'm sure you looked at other projects before you applied, right?
That's what I'm saying. This is a new program, the
this is
Affordable
a new
Housing Gap
program.
Subsidy Program. They went through one round for projects that were already under construction, which is kind of a separate bucket, and they're only now looking at applications for projects that have not yet started construction. So there's no real precedent really to look at for how much they're awarding projects.
So if we gave you the 700,000, and let's say HMFA kicked in 200,000, 2.1, you'll still be short, right? You couldn't start.
Yes, that's correct. And so at that point, we try to see if we can find additional funding sources, or if we have to rely on that additional tax credit application.
Do you guys ever adjust down your developer's fee?
Yes. Yes, exactly. So yes, the developer's fee, that's kind of the last bucket. We are the last ones to get paid in most cases, and in a case where we are short on funding, we would be the last.
And you said construction's inside. You're not getting a construction management fee too, right, from that side?
So pro contractors, they do get a fee. While they're in-house, we have a contract with them, so they do get a fee for their work as well.
As a part of giving us the design, could you give us the total budget overall, that almost shy of $30 million?
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. McInerney.
Yeah, just a point, the fee, the GC fee on construction is a set amount. It's a set amount at a first level of cost, a second level. It's actually a diminishing percentage as the cost increase. I believe that's the way it goes.
You said that's the cost.
So, yeah, so it's, in other words, it's not just the profit of the job. You can only take a certain amount of a GC fee out of a low-income housing tax credit job. Now, there's other ways people do it, charging off construction to let's say, a leasing company that they may own the property, but that's not the case here, according to.
Has Pearl received tax credits previously from the state of New Jersey, from HMFA? Have you applied, and have you been awarded.
Name for the record.
Deanna Shipman from Pearl. Yes, we have a few projects underway in New Jersey, all funded through NJHMFA's tax credits. So we have one that we just stabilized in Montgomery. We currently have a project underway in Warren and in Princeton and in Clinton, New Jersey. We also have a stabilized project in Freehold, New Jersey, and then a few more in the pipeline.
Thank you so much.
Mr. President? I mean, I just for this, on behalf of the public to fully understand, maybe this is a question for Mr. McInerney, Mr. Porlavecchio, or Mr. Jackson, but in the event that we do commit this funding, additional funding on top of what we've already committed, and the project does not go through, the funding does come back to Essex County. There's no loss to Essex County in this. Can we just clarify? Because I think there may be a little bit of confusion. There's a lot of money on the table. What would happen to that funding that we committed in the event this does not go through for whatever reason? Because it sounds like there's a lot of moving parts. I just think it's a question that the public should, would probably be asking.
Sure.
Craig Lombardi, Housing and Community Development. If I may respond to that, tonight, if funds are authorized tonight, what that means is we're setting aside those funds. But we do not commit those funds in the home program, there's a written agreement, which is a full commitment, and then there's a loan agreement where you actually close on the loan. We do not do the written agreement until all the other funds are in place. That is a policy of the home program. So what we're doing tonight is, just to be clear, we're not committing the funds, but we are setting aside the funds so that when we do have everything in place, we would be able to commit those funds. And certainly if there is a significant change in this project as far as the financing goes, or maybe they cut back a number of units or whatever, we would come again in front of the board to make sure that you're aware of the changes, that you authorize those changes. We're not doing anything that goes beyond what we're presenting here tonight. So I just want to make sure it's clear that these funds are not being fully committed tonight, but we do need to set aside the funds so that we know that if and when all these sources of funding are in place, we can go ahead and execute the loan agreement. If for whatever reason, for any project that may have gets canceled, those funds are returned back to the county, and we can use them we reallocate them for other projects. So again, the home program is pretty tight in that regard as far as anything that may go awry down the road. The funds,
Thank you. I
we
just
recapture
think
those
it's very important
funds.
to clarify that on behalf of the public. That
No,
it's
absolutely.
Not, it's not like hey, here we go, roll of the dice.
Yeah,
and
no,
maybe
no,
it happens and it
absolutely.
doesn't.
And I'm telling you, HUD is very diligent on this. Plus, we go through county council to make sure all the loan documents are correct and we're protected.
So there's no significant risk here to the county. It only helps their application, having these funds, further funds committed. So thank you. That's kind of the point that I really wanted, to have elaborated on behalf of the public.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions from the board? Commissioner Luciano.
Just something that I want to put on the record through you, Mr. President. Again, being the commissioner district that represents Verona, I commend the project and I love the idea of it. The only thing that I really would bring into question, I want to put on the record for the residents and for you guys and everyone else in this room, is 95 units added on to the community of Verona. Do we know if they've done, or you guys have met with the school board and done an impact study on what that would do? Verona is a very small group school. They already have a tight high school as it is, and I'm just wondering, and again, we hear it time and time again, development doesn't always bring families with kids, but then the development goes up and yes, there's families with kids, and if you add an extra, whatever it is, 100 students to a small group community school, the trickle effect down the road becomes quite difficult. So that's the one thing that I haven't heard here, sitting here tonight is, and maybe, Verona as a community has already sort of vetted this and pushed it out, but we still have a responsibility as county legislators to represent our communities. So no matter what the municipal officials did to approve, you guys going forward, I still feel like I have to sit here and feel comfortable with all this money, knowing that, down the road, I might get a call from the school board president or the superintendent saying, now we have to build additional facilities, or we have trailers on our parking lots for students to go to school. So who's going to pick up those costs? And so I just wanted to put that on record. I don't know if you have anything to add, or if there are any of those studies that you could provide us. Again, thank you, Mr. President.
Sure.
May I respond?
Sure.
Kate Coffey. So this project in particular is one of the primary means by which Verona is addressing its affordable housing obligation. It's part of their Fair Share plan that was approved by the courts and part of their settlement with the Fair Share Housing Center. Pardon me? And so as part of that, on the one hand, the municipality had this obligation to create these units. And I know that the council was very thoughtful about that commitment and what it would mean to the schools, and it was something that they did look at. I don't know whether a formal study was done. I would have to make inquiries to find out. However, what I will say is that there was a determination that by having a 100% affordable development utilized to address their affordable housing obligation, they were minimizing the impact to the school district rather than having, for example, a 20% affordable community to address the 95 units and then have an 80% market rate component of additional units to support that 20%. So that in an effort to be sensitive to the community impacts, not only to the schools, but other impacts to community resources, the town was quite intentional in seeking out a 100% development, 100% affordable development.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President, again, and that's going to be put on record because, down the road at some point, I just think that, and of course, we all know how government works. The town officials are one group, school board's a whole different basket, right? And, and again, maybe that's going to be my due diligence is I'm going to stop by one of the school board meetings and I'm going to ask them how they feel about this project and what their opinion is on things. And I completely understand the ratios and what you're talking about. But again, I just wanted to put it on record. And, that's just something that I think we all should be concerned about because we do have several communities already in Essex County. And I think it's criminal that kids go to school in trailers and that there's schools that are literally falling apart and we don't have any more state funding to, at least at this point, to start going around like we did at one point to building new schools. We have so many schools in our county that are over 100 years old, and then you have little communities like Verona, and it's like, they just can't slap up a new elementary school. They just don't have the land for it, and they don't have the property. And we all know that, you increase class size, it does a detriment to the students that are already enrolled as you increase it. So just putting that on the record. Thank you.
Mr. McInerney?
Is this strictly a residential, it's 100% residential?
Yes, sir.
No commercial at all?
Yes, sir, that's correct. It's 100% residential, no commercial, 100% affordable, no market rate units.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it seems like Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you. Just one quick question for Mr. Lombardi. If my memory serves me correctly, these funds were reprogrammed funds. Like, what's the timeline? Do we have a timeline on when we need to use that money by?
Okay, Craig Lombardi, Housing Community Development. When we use the word reprogramming for the home program, it's a subtle difference than for other programs. When we submit our annual plan each year, usually a home project is not fully complete. There's so much that goes into a development project, so we can't assign funds to a specific project. So when we submit our annual plan, we will say we received, let's say, $1 million this year for home projects, and we intend to use them for affordable housing development projects. So when we actually have a specific project, technically we're reprogramming those funds for that specific activity. When you initially receive home funds, there is various rules about when you need to spend the funds, but we're well within that time frame. But again, it's a subtle difference. We're calling it reprogram, but really it's allocating those funds to a specific project.
Thank you.
One of the things that was mentioned is how Verona was very deliberate in their negotiations and putting this project together. And I get you, Commissioner Luciano. So they were also deliberate in putting all of these affordable units all together in one particular area. So I just hope there's not a stigma attached to it from township folks when the kids do go to school and they point out to that particular building or however it's going to look. It's, those are the poor kids in school, and I hope that, they're not ostracized. Yeah, I'm not saying that people in Verona is going to do it, but that's also a danger. Sticking everybody in one place with folks who are economically disadvantaged. We've seen this so many times, and they call them the projects, right? Where you put a lot of people who were economically disadvantaged, didn't have the jobs, and you warehouse them, you put them all together, and over time, things happen. So I hope there's no stigma attached to them being in Verona, this small town, but a very affluent town. Mr. McInerney.
Let me just give you my read on this. I am familiar with the low-income housing tax credit projects. In this case, the construction fee for Pearl is fixed. It's based on a schedule. They can't take anything more than that out. The development fee, which appears reasonable given what I know about the size of the project, in this case, they can't pay the whole development fee probably. So I've seen many cases where development fees are paid in part and then deferred. And when I say deferred, it means they don't get paid until there's a positive cash flow coming out of the project rentals. And that may not be for some time. In addition, they'd have to wait till they could remortgage the property and get the development fee. So I think it's responsible that once you realize your numbers are not what you thought they are, to go out and seek additional funding sources, whether it's the home program or additional credits. So I think that's really what this is all about. And if you can kind of understand, this doesn't put any additional monies into the developer's pocket. Those fees and those revenues are fixed by schedules that are mandated by government agencies. So I guess that's my read on it, is all I'm saying.
Okay, thank you for that. So there's a financial side and there's also a human side. So there are two sides to it.
Thank you. Jean Marie Scolo, Assistant County Counsel. With regard to the county's concern regarding the allocation of the units, the 100% affordability, and the school district, would it be worthwhile for the county to obtain a copy of the fair share plan, the court order, to determine how it's actually laid out, how many units are actually required, see if it's broken down as to the 3-bedroom, the 2-bedroom, so that we have a clearer picture as to what the court is imposing on Verona?
So I don't like that term opposing on Verona. This is because Verona never took their fair share and they never built the affordable housing that they were responsible for building. And so now they have to do it, right? It goes back to the Mount Laurel decision, all right? This is where, so don't say they're not opposing it on Verona. It's because Verona never took their fair share when they could have previously.
Sure, I don't mean it in a negative context. I mean that I suppose all the municipalities have this imposition now because it's allocated evenly.
Yeah, one of the things that a lot of these communities did is deferred, and they had other municipalities take their and do it for them. And so now they can't do that anymore, so now they have to step up.
So I'm wondering, would it be worth our while to look at what the actual numbers are to see what the requirement is and compare that to what actually is being proposed to see if that burden matches up with what the burden will be on the school district and see.
For all intents and purposes, the discussion about the schools is irrelevant. The community has approved the project. School children, the impact of schools for the purpose of development is an issue that the town has to deal with. The project has been approved, the number of bedrooms have been approved, and this project is simply looking for money to make the project happen. So if there were 1 million school kids that were coming out the project, quite frankly, from an approval standpoint, irrelevant. The community has to deal with it, particularly in the context of affordable housing. It is, I hate to come back to that, but it is what it is. So, I mean, I don't think, with all due respect, the comparison numbers, it's irrelevant. And it's really the point of the board right now, with Ms. Lombardi and our friends from Pearl are asking.
I get it. All we here to do is to give them the allocation or not.
But I'm going to put on record, though, Mr. President, through you, though,
Commissioner
but
Luciano.
The point is, it changes the way that I'll vote on giving money. That's the point. The point is,
Okay.
of course it impacts the community, and my job as a county legislator is to sit here and say, hey, you want $500,000 or $1 million to a project?
Excuse me, can we have one
You know,
meeting?
I mean, you know, and I'm totally with, you know, Administrator Robert Jackson. Yes, we can't control what happened in Verona, but we can control whether or not we're going to give money towards this, or at least my vote can go yes or no.
Absolutely.
And so when I say I need to know these things before I really feel comfortable, like I want to hear them on record before I go on the record voting, because to tell you the truth, I may not want to give any money towards this project if it's going to impact the schools. I care about that as a county legislator, you know, even though that's not our purview. And I just know that how this stuff sneaks up on communities is next thing you know, the school board comes and says to the town, you did this to us, and then they point at the county and said, well, you added to it because you gave them money. And why didn't you look into this?
I hear you, Commissioner, but I'm going to vehemently disagree with your assessment.
Okay, and that's fair.
Mr. President.
Commissioner Cooper.
I'm sorry, I respect what you're saying, Commissioner Luciano, and I agree with you and feel what you're talking about. But that kind of question should be debated and analyzed at the local level. And again, if my memory serves me correct, I think the township had kicked in some money towards this project. It was like unprecedented what the township had done. Most towns don't put that kind of skin in the game for a project. And I agree.
And they gave the land.
That's right, they gave them the land. We're all right about the school issue. It's a great issue, you're right. You're absolutely right about the affordable housing issue. These issues are right, but we collectively can't have a discussion about those two issues individually here at the county level. We've got to bring the municipalities to the table. But the issue before us today, because I'm willing to fight for those two issues, is purely about giving us $700,000. Do we want to do it, to commit it to, I think, a worthy project? But I'm also concerned that they haven't got the commitment of the other gap. And I really don't want to see the money sitting on the shelf, because if there's other projects that's going to come to Mr. Lombardi's office that he might not be able to approve because, you know, he quasi got a commitment for this while we're waiting. Can we afford that kind of time, especially when housing prices have jumped here? I mean, the report for a one-bedroom now in Essex County is like $1,400. That's not affordable for most residents. So these are all great issues, but this resolution number 6061 is just about $700,000. But I support you. I support both issues.
Commissioner Sebo.
Affordable housing is a law that all the towns in Essex County must abide by. And we as a group cannot decide for the town what they should do. I live in a town right now that is having a problem with affordable housing and where it should be located. This is a problem throughout the county, but we as a group can't determine what a town should do. Verona has made a decision. It's not our decision, and they must deal with what will happen from that decision, not us. And this is a problem throughout the county, not just with Verona, but with every town. And it is a law to have the affordable housing, and there isn't anything we can do about it. We can't vote no, so it does not occur. It's simple. That's what it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right. Next.
Mr. President, if I may, Craig Lombardi, Housing Community Development, if I may make one more point.
I don't think it's necessary. I think you
Okay,
just
all right.
go to the next item.
Okay.
We debated this long enough.
That's it. We can't be
Item, Craig Lombardi, Housing and Community Development. Item number 60, we are requesting that the board authorize the allocation of home funds in the amount of $1.3 million for the West Orange Senior Housing Project. The developer is Joe Alpert. The project is located at 46 Mount Pleasant Avenue in West Orange. Mr. Alpert is available for questions, should you have any questions right now.
Joe Alpert, President of the Alpert Group.
Mr. Paul Vecchio?
Can you tell us about what this project is? This is senior housing?
Absolutely. 100% affordable, 100% senior. Been working with the municipality of West Orange for the last 4 years. It's a complex project. So the municipality has an old library that went in for a grant funding. They secured another property in town at, everyone probably knows Essex Green. They got the grant funding from the DCA in about, I think, $3.5 million with matching funds. The idea is the library is going to relocate from its existing in the Municipal Plaza that everybody probably knows on Mount Pleasant. It's going to relocate the library to Essex Green. It was there this morning. They're under construction. They look like they're going to be done by the end of February to relocate. We went in for tax credits in 2019 to do 65 units of senior affordable housing, 100% senior, 100% affordable. It is in there also, and you've repeated a lot of this, their fair COA spending plan. This meets their obligation. All are senior. It's 62 and older senior. That was their request that we were able to do with the NJHMFA. It's a really special project in that not only we're going to demolish part of the building, brand new, 65 units, and I know you asked the other applicant, if you want I could circulate. I should have brought more, but there's at least one visual of both the rendering and the plans.
Yeah, please pass that around.
And this will be on the site of the old library?
Yeah, so the old library is pretty interesting. Was built in two sections. There's a 1959 section and a 1979 section. The 59 section is ready to fall down. That's what we're taking down. 79 section is actually in very good shape. So what we decided to do was we're demoing part, building brand new, state-of-the-art, 61 one-bedrooms, 4 two-bedrooms. Will be a live-in superintendent on site in one of the 2 bedrooms, so only 3 of the 2 bedrooms will be affordable tenants. But we're keeping about a 15,000 square foot, that new addition. It's the one with the marble, with no windows. That's going to be given back to the town, 7,500 square feet of it, to, they were thinking that there's going to be a lot of seniors still in that campus. That's where the police station is and City Hall. So they're going to use it for other municipal services. They haven't committed. That's up to the town. They get that space for $0 in perpetuity, forever. So they've talked about putting in a satellite library because some of the seniors, might have gotten used to there, might not want to go over to, Rooney Circle. They're talking about other municipal services. We're providing health screenings, medical, a lot of the what's called SIL, Senior Independent Living Services, to the site. And we've done that in Essex County. So we applied for tax credits in 2019. We won. It was a max scoring project. But again, just like everyone's facing, we have a gap, and the county, we've worked with the county before. We've built over 1,000 units of affordable housing in Essex County. We could go through them. Almost all of them are under this tax credit program. Our first one was on 525 Elizabeth Avenue in Newark when the tax credit program was young in 1991. We still own it, we still manage it, and it's still affordable. And we did that with all of our projects in Essex County. So we're very proud to build on that. We did 2 other projects and I want to thank you for home funds, something called Harvard Printing in Orange, 550 Central Avenue. I think we got $500,000. Craig, tell me if I'm wrong. And $500,000. And then in West Orange, we did something on 22 Central Avenue called Valley Road. $500,000. I am pleased to say, I heard about it. In every job we've done in Essex County, we've exceeded our MBE requirement. There's a 15% of the total contract cost will be MBE or WBE. We've always exceeded in Essex County, and we've also exceeded our Section 3 labor commitments on every single job. So we're just looking forward to doing one more. Like I said, we were with the town this morning. They have the sale contract is completed with the town, and we are looking to start no later than April 1st. So I hope I touched on.
Mr. Paulovecchio?
No, thank you.
Mr. McInerney?
What is the total project cost?
Great question. $19.2 million.
And it's right next to the senior center.
See, that's the great part. It's in that complex next to, I think it's called Richmond Tower, the senior.
Please make sure you're talking to the mic.
Sorry about that. It's right next door to another senior building. So they wanted to keep all the seniors there, and obviously no impact to schools, no real impact, there's transportation right there. The police are right there. It made perfect sense to have seniors in the complex.
Mr. McInerney, you done?
Yes.
Commissioner Sebo?
Thank you. I have a few questions. I'm very familiar with this project. I'm familiar with the library, and I know about the library being moved over near Essex Green. And you gave a date when you're going to start the construction on this new procedure, right? Will the library be ready by that time?
Great question. So as of this morning, they are on target to be fully completed by March 9th. They had 240 days from June 30th. I was at the construction meeting of the new site this morning.
Does that mean on March 9th the new library will open?
That, I can't talk for the library. The construction will be complete. I don't need the old building till April 1st. They want at least a cushion of 3 weeks to move all the stuff over, vet out everything, make sure the parking, so it works perfectly timing-wise. And like I said, they're well into the project. I was there, so
Yeah,
March
so
9th.
The library will be open and then you'll start the construction.
Right.
And I see from the rendering that you have enough parking, because I was concerned about parking, because the library right now doesn't have enough parking.
It's so much better.
So you will have enough parking for the people who will live there.
Absolutely.
And there will be it will be strictly apartments, no commercial.
Yes. What I'm building is 100% affordable apartments. The space I'm giving back to the town, I wouldn't call that commercial. They want to put an annex library. No commercial. Commercial meaning no tenants moving in and paying rent and no retail activities. It's all given back to the town.
And it's right next to or right near the other senior building.
Almost adjacent to it.
Yeah,
We'll share a drive aisle.
Will there be communication or facilities used by the two buildings?
Oh, absolutely. We've already been in contact with West Orange's senior people who run the senior center out of City Hall, and we have transportation already set up because it stops at Richmond. Like I said, we have medical there. It's great because it's going to piggyback on all the senior services that are already in that area.
I think it's a great undertaking because the library being in that place is not a good situation for the library.
I was with the library director, Dave Covey, this morning. Everyone's excited because of, again, so geographically centering the library, but this little added bonus of having this satellite center for whatever the town uses it for is a feeling like they're not leaving. And that's a very large structure. If you could picture the 1979 portion, it's 15,000 square feet that's staying and being owned by the town, forever.
Right.
So
I think this is a great project, and it's a great project for West Orange.
I hope so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cooper?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it's a great project, too. The 1.3, is that your gap? If we award this, you're ready to go in April?
We're ready to go in April. We are in the same funding round, but like I said, we already applied for credits. We're a max scoring job that's already been determined, so we feel that this will be the final piece of the financial puzzle. So we're waiting on one more award from the NJHMFA.
For the tax credits, when do you know about that?
Same thing. They had said December. I had heard there are only 11 projects that they haven't given out the application list, unfortunately. I wish I had that for today. But this one, because of all COVID and interest rates, there are very few applications going in. So they seem to have more allotment this year than we need. Don't have it yet, probably November.
Okay. Mr. Labardi, this is, a loan? Is this a loan or a grant that we're giving them?
Craig Lombardi Housing and Community Development. No, it is a loan, and in this case, it's to a for-profit developer, so we do charge an interest rate, we do collect interest. It is a loan, it will be repaid back at some point in time.
What's the term, like 20, 30 years?
I believe, I believe, is the term for this one, is it 20 years or 50 years?
This home, I think, is 12.
Yeah, okay. So the term is 20 years. There's also something called an affordability period that we attach to every project that we actually file. It's called a deed restriction that we file. And that restriction lets everyone know that this project is a home-assisted project, that the units have to be charged at certain rates, affordable rates and whatnot. And that's the key point that we have, the affordability period. That means for 20 years, we know that this project is going to provide affordable housing.
Can you send us the rendering and the budget for this one as too, please, like the other one? Thank you.
Excuse me, name for the record, and speak into the mic, please.
Sorry, Joe Alpert. Sorry, we circulate one rendering. I'll give as many copies as I can. And actually, because of the COA commitment here, it's actually, the affordability restrictions are a minimum of 45 years, and then at the town's option, it could go to forever, in perpetuity. So nobody's lifting this and going to market rate within a minimum of 45 years.
Commissioners, any other questions? I have one. So what is the AMI?
Great question. We are under the same COA restrictions, so half of the units are at 60% of median. The other half are broken down between 50% and that 13% of very low, or 20%. Same percentages because we're following the same statewide COA mandate.
And how does someone apply?
This
So
will
is this
be
strictly for residents who live in West Orange now?
No, you can't do that with the funding source, unfortunately. A lot of the towns, because they're giving
You say unfortunately?
Well, from a municipality standpoint.
Now, but you're not the municipality, you're a builder.
Oh, I'm a builder, and
So
I would
why
like
is
it available to.
So why are you taking that stance?
It's a great question. I apologize for taking that viewpoint, because I've heard it from a lot of the municipalities in the thing. No, it's a three-county surrounding COA marketability. It'll be placed in at least the Star Ledger and two other papers. We'll open a period. It's a random lottery system, which we do publicly. We'll try to do it at Municipal Hall, so everyone sees it open, and then they have these great computer programs where after you log them in, push a button, and it's randomly scrambled. It's very transparent. There is no way to secure anyone an apartment in these complexes.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, Craig Lombardi, Housing Community Development. If I can add on to your point, I just want to emphasize that when all the commitments are in place and we're getting ready to do construction, we will also have every developer for any project interact with the county DCA office and the COC office, because they have an inventory of people that may be able to qualify for these properties. So we're all working together to make sure that there's fair access to these affordable units, and certainly anyone who's income eligible has access to those units.
Thank you. But unfortunately, it's not just for the town. But go ahead.
All right, let's see here, okay. Items number 61 and 62 are related. Item number 61, we're requesting that the board authorize the allocation of funds totaling, I can't remember, $592,147 for CDBG CV funds that will be used by not-for-profit agencies that are incurring costs related to COVID expenses. The reason we're asking that those funds be allocated for that particular activity is that will enable us to then have a total available of $1,211,672 for various subrecipients that have submitted applications recently to utilize these CDBG CV funds. And I believe we submitted a matrix of those activities to your office. So 61 and 62 are basically requesting that you authorize the allocation of funds to various subrecipients, and so that we can enter into those contracts and begin to expend those CDBG CVs funds, which basically represents additional funds that the government gave to us during the COVID pandemic.
Mr. Paulovecchio?
No questions.
Mr. McInerney?
No questions.
Commissioners, questions or comments?
For
Here, Commissioner Cooper.
Are you talking about 60 and 61 only?
For me?
Yes.
54 to 62.
I have a question for one, please. You didn't ask, the one related to, the South Orange, elevator.
We did, Craig Lombardi Housing Community Development. Do you have a question for that project?
I do.
Okay.
Just quickly, why did the prices increase so much? It's like double.
We, Craig Lombardi Housing Community Development, we have seen prices increase across the board for several projects, especially for heavy material projects. Elevators, vehicles, buses are going crazy. It's also a supply issue. We have a project in Nutley, for example, that they're just waiting on the elevator. And we also see it in the affordable housing projects. These are not isolated incidents. We are seeing price increases, inflationary prices across the board. Hopefully those go down soon.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I need a mover and a second.
Motion.
To take 54 through 62 as one.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Cooper, second by Vice President Pomares. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Graham, absent. Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to Resolution 63, which is from the Office of Public Information and will be read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Coltre will handle these items, Mr. President.
Mr. President, the Office of Public Information contract awarded New Hope Baptist Church to provide summer youth nutrition program not to exceed $11,000. This was a non-fair for sustainable food for the youth in the summer. Would you like me to continue with 64?
Please.
Mr. President? Department of Administration and Finance, Office of Purchasing. This was a bid that went out for beauty supplies for a 24-month agreement to exceed $175,000. We went out for the same bid 2 years ago, and we spent out of the bid $52,000. It's being awarded to 3 separate vendors: Care Supply, American Care Products, and Bob Barker. Care Supply, AmeriCare Products is a new vendor, and that's not to exceed $175,000. Number 65 is a contract to Atlantic Tactical to purchase weapons, accessory, and armor tools for $726.39. And the last one, number 66, Office of the Prosecutor, resolution approving participation with the State of New Jersey grant program administered by the Attorney General's Office, and this is for a period of September 1st, 2022 to August 31st, 2023, and it's under the Governor Phil Murphy's budget, and it is for funding used to operate a service program that identifies individuals who are opioid dependent and subject to criminal arrest and arraignment treatments in lieu of incarceration. And it is just a participant as of right now. There is no funds available with it.
Mr. Paulovecchio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jay, number 63, what is that program? At first, I thought it was spelled wrong.
There was a summer youth program, and the funding is for children to be fed during that summer youth program.
Okay, thank you.
And they were from urban centers.
Commissioners, any questions about 63, 64, 65, or 66? Hearing none, I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Moved by Commissioner Sebo, second by Vice President Pomares. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Graham, absent. Commissioner Gill, absent. Commissioner Johnson, absent. Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to resolutions 67 through 96. Commissioner Sebo.
Thank you. I would very much like to be included in number 82.
82. Ms. Gil Luciano.
Of course.
Thank you.
Anything else? That's it? Okay. Any questions or comments? Do I have a motion? A move in a second.
I will. A second.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Cooper and second by Commissioner Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Sebo?
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Pomares?
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado?
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Absent. Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Commissioner Gill? Absent. Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner President Richardson?
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any added starters? Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, we have none.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to report of board committees. Commissioners, do we have any reports of board committees? Any legislative reports? Any written communications? Any unfinished business? Any new business? Hearing none, let's move to public comment. If there is any member of the public who would like to comment on any matter, please come to the microphone, state your name, address, and affiliation for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening, Cassandra. Fix it, Lionel. Thanks. Good evening, Cassandra Dock. Now, I came before you guys maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I told you that it appears that our county executive, Joe D., is racist, and he discriminates against particularly sports that are dominated by black children. And I said that because the fields where other groups play sports at have a scoreboard, and the fields where football is being played and soccer is being played, particularly at Weequahic Park, there is no scoring board. So I came back this evening and I was going to address the fact about the lights not being on. And I was going to again say it's where the blacks that are placed, where they play sports at, the lights are not on at a certain time. And so Ms. Jackson pointed out to me that there was an agenda item, particularly number 12, that may speak to the lights being fixed. My only question now is, we gave Sony the contract. So is Sony going to fix those lights? Are you going to give them, they're going to fix the lights before they get their money from you guys, or they're going to fix the lights after they get their money from you guys? Or are we, the blacks who play sports, particularly again, football and soccer, or are we going to continue to not to have lights? Because I'm going to take a ride at Branchbrook Park, probably might come up to Verona, maybe come up to Livingston, Miss Sebo, just to see if the lights are on in those parks when those kids are out there playing sports. And then I'm going to come, are they? You don't have a park? Oh, you have the zoo. Okay, that's what.
Please,
Okay.
Ms. C,
Well, that's
Commissioner,
okay.
let's not
That's
go
okay.
back and
It's
forth.
okay,
Let
'cause
this,
I know
it's
her
your
range.
time.
Yeah,
Please,
that's okay.
don't interrupt.
That's okay. So, well, in another part, because it's aggravating. And then I also wanted, again, somebody send that to me to let me know if those lights are going to be fixed. And then also want to speak to, and I wish he was still here, Mr. Labardi. I wish he was, is that how you say his name? I wish he was still here, because I wasn't sure, and maybe you guys can help me out here. Did he say
30
around
seconds.
the eviction money, thanks, Ms. Carter, around the eviction money, did he say that he's waiting for I guess, answers from our courts in terms of eviction before he sent out money to help the eviction. I just want to make sure I got it correct, and I wish he was here so he can speak to that for me. And then lastly, I want to say, not lastly, but I don't have no time. Luciani, you're an educator, so you have to be concerned about what goes on in a town as it relates to kids in the school. It's just unfortunately that our other legislators don't take that into consideration, because you got to be concerned about everything. So be concerned about that project, because it's unfortunate. Again, when developers develop in our areas, urban areas, until you said it, I never thought about it. Thank you.
That's your time. And as is our process, you will get a written answer to all your questions. They will come to you in writing. Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Put your name and affiliation on the record, please.
Good evening. My name's Ian Miller. I'm the owner of I. Miller International. My address is 106 Milton Place in South Orange. Mr. President, Commissioners, Madam Clerk, I hate not to acknowledge you as well. I have been a vendor for the commissioners and the freeholders for the last 8 years. Dating back to President Timberlake's time. And during that time, I've done all kinds of things for you people, including the pins that you're currently wearing, the dry erase boards that you give out with your pictures on it, some hand sanitizers with your pictures on it, and many, many other projects. I'm a taxpayer in Essex County. I do volunteer work. I'm on the Mental Health Advisory Board. I sometimes work with the clerk on the South Orange Invitational event. I've been a volunteer in something or other since moving to Essex County. I've always was told that the commissioners were permitted to give a certain amount of business out without filing contracts, and under such, we've been doing quite a bit of business, quite a bit, not by the numbers that everybody else has been speaking of, but $10,000, $12,000 a year, which is meaningful to a very little business. We were in the process of doing a project, an employee recognition project for the clerk's office, and had done 4 or 5 hours worth of work. And when they went to place it, I was told that they can no longer order from us because a contract was given out to a company called, I'm not sure, but to another company, not in Essex County, not a little company, not a taxpayer, but a company who has no real ties other than they put in a bid because they have a staff that can sit there and fill out the paperwork.
30 seconds.
And fill out all the time things. We don't really have that staff. I am the staff. We use local businesses whenever possible. We'd like you to reconsider that, change it so that Essex County small businesses can be allotted a certain amount of business without a contract. And I have 4 seconds left. So I relinquish my time.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, and we will definitely find out why we can no longer do business with you, someone who we've been doing business with for, say, 8 years, and we've never had a issue with any of your work. It's always been spot on. We've always gotten it in a timely fashion. So why things change, I have no idea. Well, we will find out, and I think we can. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. McInerney, there is a certain amount, a dollar amount, where the commissioners can use a vendor if it's under a certain threshold. Is that correct? So why was this gentleman told, I'd like to know, why was he told that we could no longer do business with him? I don't understand that.
I will discuss it with you, Mr. President, after the meeting.
Please. And to the administration, I'd like to get something in writing as to who told him that we can't do business with him and why.
No problem. I'm totally unfamiliar with this, Mr. President. We'll
Jay
find out.
probably knows, though.
We'll find out.
Mr. President, I'll be glad to discuss it offline with you.
You got it. We can do it right after this meeting. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Pamela McElvin. I've been advocating for Bellsbury Park. The issue that I'm having now with Bellsbury Park, I don't understand why the county and the city is not collaborating together. We're getting a state-of-the-art park, but there's no type of speed measures there, which North Arlington Parkway and South Divine is city, South Orange Avenue is county, but the perimeter of the park, which I was told that Joe D said that he would try to speak with the city because some type of speed measure have to be there. Because once that park is up and running, it's gonna be a lot of things happening there. But you got the Parkway North and you have Parkway South. I was told by the last director with the city of Newark, Mr. Philip Scott, who's no longer the director, he had said he had to meet with the DOT, Irvington, and the county, which I explained this to Joe D also. I haven't heard anything. Now, Joe D is rushing the contractors to make sure they finish by the end of the year or by October. But if you all need to come down and see, because some things is just, to me, I would say common sense. There was a pipe issues. Okay, anytime you got the sewer lines around the park with grass growing out, it's gonna be a problem because some of them pipes hooks up, come across the city line, come from out the county park towards the city line. So there's gonna be a problem. And if you don't catch it now while they're doing it, then you're gonna wait until the project, they're gonna say it's done, then you're gonna have more issues. So someone needs to really take a look at the project. I mean, just because you built, that's taxpayers' money anyway. That's something that we should have had there many years ago. But I'm just saying, since it's being done, let's do it right the first time so you don't have to keep coming back and doing that job. Another thing, the Conservancy. I have asked Rufus or somebody from the county, I have the paperwork,
30 seconds.
can sit down and explain and go over this contract, this application for the Conservancy so we can partnership or whatever is needed to be done for the park. Because like I said, it's more work is coming there to the park. It's a lot more, this is only a partial. A lot more is coming there to the park. But there's speed measures because you have traffic and you have schools. Okay, Speedway Avenue School.
Time's up.
Thank you.
Okay.
As is the policy, we will get back to you in writing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
Good afternoon. My name is Bishop-elect Elijah Williams Jr. I'm pastor of the Welcome Baptist Church here in the city of Newark, 234 12th Avenue for the past 36 years. Some years back, the first black prosecutor we had in this city was Cliff Minor, and at that time we were part of that organization that helped facilitate him coming to be in that position. I represent the Westward clergy as well. We're here tonight to go on record to ask this body or to facilitate, if I'm in the right place, the reason and to also advocate for a permanent prosecutor, not just an acting prosecutor. This has been, when you put a person in an acting position, it's hard to hold their feet to the fire concerning their jobs because, as you know, you have to act like a politician and a chameleon to keep your own place. We understand politics, at least I do, but I would hope that this body will go, I'm going on record to solicit your support or to see what we can do to anchor down the prosecutor that we have here. We all recognize that in our city, we have crime here. And we also need someone that we can hold accountable to hold our city and not hold our city in hostage. And so we come before this body tonight as a representative of the West Ward clergy. I am their public safety person, and I also sit with the Newark Clergy Alliance as their public safety representative. But tonight, we come to go on record. We need to, this is the first time, and since I think after Cliff Minor, there was one other person who had the position as being appointed permanent, and since that time, it's just been acting. And I think that we don't need to be acting in Essex County. This is real. And we want to ask that this body go on record or either give us some support in securing that. We also recognize that there are some political hacks in the matter. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And yeah, thank you for coming in front of this body, but it's not this body who makes that decision.
Yes, sir,
It's actually the state senators.
Yes, we
there's
recognize that.
particular senator who has
The
been
Senate,
holding it up.
yes, I spoke
not
with
this
Senator
body.
Rice before he left office, and he assured that. But I also spoke with some of the freeholders and let them know that I was coming, because I think that you all need to be involved in this as well.
I've been advocating for that same thing since.
Thank you, President Richard.
Anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
Good morning. How's everybody doing? I see you guys have taken absolutely
Please state.
Donna Jackson, 128 Smith Street, Essex County resident, Newark all my life. Unfortunately, I see you guys have taken absolutely no action at the family center in regards to these food stamps and people getting their money. So right now, you guys are up to about 55,000 clients with no benefits. And unfortunately, this board has not moved. I came here last month. I've met with the director several times. We've come up with options for solutions, because whatever your community outreach workers are supposed to be doing, they're not doing it. I need this body to find out, per caseworker, how many cases are they doing, per day, per person. Some of them may be difficult, but people should be processing stuff. You had the audacity tonight to approve overtime. How you approving overtime before you see the work that they're doing? You guys monitor nothing when it comes outside of this thing. You just yes. Whatever Joe D tell you. You're not watching anything. You're not watching it. How are you allowing 60,000 residents in this county to not have benefits? Why are senior citizens standing in the line at 302 University Avenue? Why? You've seen the lives. I ain't the only one did one. You've heard the complaints. So now, since you guys don't want to move, I've now got the state involved. And I've told every client to file a fair hearing in administrative law court. They don't want mediation, none of that. Now the state of New Jersey and the U.S. Department of Food Stamps, and I know that's not their name, or agriculture, now needs to step in and make you guys do your job. You need to find out, why isn't anybody being held accountable? What investigation have you guys did? Because I didn't get anything in the mail. So that means the last time I came here, you did absolutely nothing. Because I got no response. $1 million for overtime? Are y'all serious? How much overtime you done already spent? How many cases did they process during the pandemic while they had the computers and the phones on? You guys' fiasco is worse than the unemployment fiasco. You got kids not eating right now. We do food pantry every Wednesday. 100-some bags gone in 10 minutes. You guys are causing this. The lighting, Seton Hall getting a lease. What's the difference between a lease and a permit? Why do the young teams in this city continue to have to be on the back burner, whether it's soccer, baseball? You guys got Bloomfield College, and I know that's Essex County, but you guys, come on. You got to be fair to the little guys, too. And it better be room for the Hawks, Pop Warner, in Vailsburg Park when you bring the little Donald Payne Tech, that's my school, too. But when you bring them over there, it better be room for the little people. And I don't see the room for the little people. All this money tonight, how many clients? You talked about job placement. Y'all didn't ask nobody for no numbers. So what are we paying people for? It's been the pandemic. You giving them the same money last year, year
Time's
before
up.
last, when there was no classes. I need you guys to please do some work. Because y'all paying people for doing nothing, and you're not asking the right questions. And lastly, please check on the deaths at Essex County Jail. You paying for drug program. How many overdoses? Y'all don't ask the right questions. What's wrong with y'all? How many overdose and how many overdose deaths? And why do people need and I'm going to end with this. Why do people need continued drug addiction program when they in the jail? Why are the drugs being brought in there for people to keep getting high? Ask the question.
That's your time. Thank you.
Yeah, but y'all better do some work.
We
'Cause I'll be back.
duly noted. And as is the policy, we'll get back to you in writing for all your questions. Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Okay, let the record reflect there's no one else wishing to speak at this time. Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, motion to adjourn. All in favor?